Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are premiering, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also, below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Austin Whitsitt, John Kays, DL Hill, Julian Jeremiah, Maxi Tycan, Michael Kahn, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B. Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Samson, Maris, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Open Minded, Del West Watson, Muted, Mike, Dick Earth Skeptic, Maria Nealands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, theflatearthchannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to raise the mic on whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
I heard about that thing that they're going to do. Go ahead.
Talking about they added something on the spacesuits, like the divers have a spout to breathe. The same thing, because they don't want to happen the same mistake again, you know, water in space.
No, I got a better one. NASA's, they got 4 people. If you fit the criteria, and you could go live on Mars. They're going to build like a 1,800 square foot, and it's supposed to be like a simulation of Mars, and you have to stay there for a year. They're paying people. So I'd like to know how they're going to emulate Mars. I mean, don't you have to get somewhere first and see what it is before you could make like a simulation of it, or a duplicate of it, or stage
Not really.
Mars?
I offered exactly the same offer with 20% discount.
Yeah, it's like saying for well, they're paying them, so it's a bit almost the other way around, but saying you can go and experience Narnia. We've set up Narnia, and you too can experience Narnia prior to going through the wardrobe in a simulation that we've set up. But they've got a simulation of Mars, but the Mars simulation is based on a heliocentric simulation, aka model. So the way the heliocentric religion... Here, there's a better one. It's like saying, we can show you what heaven's like. Come and live under our heaven dome, and it'll simulate what it's like in heaven. You know, prior to actually going there. They're literally punting heaven on Earth. The sky vacuum space. And NASA with their, we need our water tubes to stop us from drowning when we basically run simulations in tanks of water. Well, we know what they're doing. They're definitely not out in space. So the fact that when they do the simulations that create what looks like men floating around in water tanks, then they're going to need something that's going to stop them from drowning. Makes sense, right? But only for water tanks. So, yeah, okay. It's just them putting it out there in plain sight in case anyone asks what the tube's for. What's that tube for? Well, it's to stop them drowning. Why? Well, because we had a malfunction where a load of water got into the suit once, so now we've got these tubes. Alright, okay. And everyone just accepts it. Well, meanwhile, space is fake. So their description of heaven, I mean space, is irrelevant. And their simulation of what they say the sky is also irrelevant. What they say one light in the sky is, and their simulation of what they say one light in the sky is basically just Their simulation of heaven on earth. It's pathetic, really.
I'm back.
Hey, 10th.
I'm hearing a buzz. Okay, I guess if I move it away, it stops. Much better. Is it too close? It causes the buzz? Is that it?
Probably got the mic near some router or something.
Yeah, that's it. I gotta move that. So you know. I'll move it to my left. No, I'm still hearing it for some reason in my headset.
It's great.
Wow, why am I hearing it? Okay, as long as it's not affecting your show, I'm happy.
Yeah, as you slide the mic around.
I mean, I'm just testing it now. So, I mean, is this good the way it is now because it's out of the way? And
Your gain's a little high, but that is always the case. Anybody on a Blue Yeti has their gain too high.
I'll turn it down. Hold on.
Rustle.
How about now? Checking.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll figure it out.
No, that's spot on. That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, the sound of the show is good. I'm quite pleased with it.
Yeah, it's good to have, like you said, with other things, subject matter experts, and you've become, with your following these YouTubers who teach you these things, that's subject matter expert for all of us for sound.
Oh, on the contrary, I don't know much about sound. I just research and then implement the stuff that I learn on the fly. But that far from makes me an expert in sound.
Well, when I say sound, I mean everything that a show needs, from acoustics to everything, not just one thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone through the motions of doing what you should do to have a good show, sound good.
Yeah, so right there where I hit my mute button, that humming went away. And it's still in my headset when I turn it on to speak live. So something's up.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
You're the expert. You're the expert.
I'm not there. I can't look. I can only figure it out and troubleshoot if I'm actually there.
I'm only joking.
It's enough of a job doing it here.
No, I know. And, in the past, it hasn't done it. So I'm sure I'll figure out the fix. So that was interesting. The yawning guy yesterday as a tactic to yawn and be rude, as to simulate, I'm looking down my nose at you while I talk to you.
It didn't do him any good.
No, he got beat. He got beat down and smacked. It was kind of fun actually yesterday, especially when they come in that way. They need to go out the same way, but having it handed to them, because they're just jokers. I mean, we're a serious topic here with serious questions and vetted out answers, and they come in here and think.
Kent, that yawn was a nervous yawn. That's what I got out of it. This guy he was nervous. He knew he was dead.
Fake yawn.
Yeah, it was definitely manufactured whenever he wanted it. But again, they don't treat, and you've covered it, they don't treat the show and the subject with seriousness. Because if they did, they might see what we see. So they have to mock it. They have to say we're stupid, that mentally we can't keep up with them. And then when they come out here to do something to show that, or to make themselves feel better, they're the ones going out looking bad.
The only thing better than that was Nathan imitating him yawning. I was getting a kick out of that.
No, that was good. I mean, it's just have fun with them and show them up for what they are. Non-serious, just jokers. To me, it was more of a test to see what the responses are. because Nathan's been talking about that guy who wanted to moderate between Katz and him, and it's like they're so stupid they can't remember the last time, so they send a guy in, or he came in on his own thinking he'd do it.
No, he was sent. He was sent. You're right about that. He was definitely sent.
I don't know that, but I
don't do
know.
this to yourselves. Why are you doing this? Why are you speculating about it? It's totally benign.
He was sent in.
I'm not. Neil's speculating. I'm not. I'm saying whether he was or not doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Because to me, it was the way it was going was, okay, well, this is how the Nathan Oakley show answers this question. It was almost like a military operation to see what the defenses are of the other side. It's like, wait a minute, we give you the same answers all the time. You still don't get it. It's funny because our answers never change.
Just because he was a well-researched opponent, it doesn't even mean he was lying about it being his first time. It was certainly his first time against me. So in some small way that was true, right? Who cares? He's well-researched and knows the arguments, knows the rebuttals. Good for him. Doesn't mean he was sent here.
No, I agree. But again, it's almost like a replay of everyone else because they know they're going to get the same answer. You're not going to contradict yourself. They're the ones who are flipping. I mean, you keep Coriolis tight. How many versions of Coriolis do they have?
Yeah, you're going to have to be specific about who they are.
Well, I mean, from the angular momentum, conserving energy, different latitudes, higher you go, we kill them.
No, Kent, the understandings are different. That's what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, there is only one Coriolis effect, and when all you give out descriptions of conservation of angular or linear momentum and moving along latitude lines, no. That has nothing to do with Coriolis effect. It's merely observed as you turn beneath things. That's it.
Correct. But they're all of a sudden giving human-like how can I put it? The object from instead of the observer, it's now from the object's viewpoint, which is not Coriolis.
Correct. That's it. It's as simple as that. That is the magic trick in its most concise summary. It is the rearranging of Coriolis effect being an observation that you experience and describe. The effect of Coriolis effect can only be described from your point of view. Point of view, meaning you view it. Roll in anti-flat earth rhetoric. Suddenly you're talking about what the projectile does and how the projectile conserves momentum, retains the spin of the earth as it leaves its surface, things like that. So you're detailing things the projectile does? No. The projectile in Coriolis descriptions isn't actually doing anything. The effect that's being described in Coriolis is something that it is not doing because it's a not actual effect induced by you turning beneath it. So what seems to happen when you turn beneath things. That's what Coriolis describes. Not what the projectile does when it leaves the rotating platform. So it's the juxtaposition between you observing something seem to drift because you turn beneath it, that's Coriolis effect, and what a projectile does when it leaves a rotating platform. That's what they insert in lieu of Coriolis because we don't have it. We're not seeing things drift away because we're turning beneath them. That's not something we have got on a turning Earth because we're not on a turning Earth. We'd have it if we were on a turning Earth. They claim we have it. Because we're on a turning Earth, we just don't experience it. Therefore, when we point out that we don't experience things drifting because it's claimed we're turning beneath them, they start telling us about how the projectile wouldn't show that effect and detailing the projectile, not the observation anymore. That's the trick.
Exactly.
Yeah, they talk a lot about the consequences of Coriolis.
Well
but
said.
They don't have a radius for it.
That's true also, but your first remark is more poignant to what Tenth's describing. So it's the consequences of Coriolis effect that they want to detail. Why? Well, because they're hijacking our debunking of Coriolis effect. If Earth turns and we're observing things drift because we're attached to it, turning beneath things, then we'll observe Coriolis effect. That would mean Earth's turning beneath aeroplanes. So the consequences of there being Coriolis effect, as claimed on a globe, would mean flight times were shortened. Roll on anti-flat earther, who ignores the fact that when he says flight times aren't shortened because the plane retains the velocity of the ground beneath it, well then you're not turning beneath the plane anymore, are you? So you've no longer got Coriolis effect to observe. But that's an anti-flat earth rhetoric flying in the face of Coriolis' claim that we actually do turn beneath things.
Yes. So they then go, Earth and atmosphere turn as one and violate gas behavior. So every time you stray away from the actual interpretation of what it should be, you make up stuff, and then when you make up the stuff, now you're opening up another can of worms of contradiction, like gas behavior. And then they close their open system when they do that, because you can't do that in an open system. But you gotta, again, another problem now, you gotta have an open system for so-called rockets to go into so-called outer space. So no matter what they do, they just keep putting roadblocks on other arguments when they deny the truth of one.
And simultaneously deny the truth of their own rhetoric, which is being claimed and then debunked, and then the debunking is addressed regardless of it actually flying in the face of the original globe claim. That's how the full cycle goes. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Guys.
And
Yeah.
then when you, I remember talking to Zanuck one time, because I remember when the whole thing cleared up. It was a long conversation with Zanuck that Nathan was having. And he got the nerve to say that you didn't even know, you still don't know what Coriolis is, and whatever you got, you're getting it from him. Unbelievable.
Well, this is why the current evaluation of anti-flat earther and Glober is fantastic, because Nathan's last statement was they're going against their own rhetoric. So half the camp is going to say what Neil deGrasse says, football, earth turning under football and sniper bullets, etc. The other half's going to say, no. So now we got them arguing. So they don't even know what it is when we show that, because it's obviously the way it's described in all this. I mean, they bring the citation and it says what we say, and they're the ones giving us the citation. Earth is rotating under things. No, well, we can't ever prove it because there's no drift. Well, then Earth's not turning. Then they have to make up stuff.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect to see the drift.
You wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon.
Level is curved. We're spinning, but you don't feel it.
And my globe doesn't have a curve.
It's locally flat.
Come on,
And we
validate
could
the
go on
claim.
and on and on.
The reason we don't feel it spinning is because we're in lockstep. Yeah? Because of retention of angular momentum. They explained it quite clearly to us. I mean, it's nonsense, but that's the reason we don't feel the spinning that's apparently happening, because we retain angular momentum.
So no drift.
No retention of angular momentum once you want the thing that's spinning on its axis, but
Nor can you have a description of it that corresponds with their actual claim on the anti-flat earth side, which that there's only one reference frame. Well, then you can't even use a Newtonian description that way, because you need both inertial and non-inertial to describe it with a Newtonian. What's the words I'm looking for, Adam?
Newtonian mechanics.
That's the one. With Newtonian mechanics. Got there in the end.
But that's the beauty of the ball busters this week, that the thing they've clung on to and just waffled, forgot, retention of angular momentum has been taken away from them quite firmly. But it demonstrated that it does not apply to what they're claiming it applies to. That it's a misunderstanding they must have had.
What would the real application of those statements be? Angular. What would actually be angular momentum as compared to what they're trying to say?
Spinning a roundabout.
There you go.
Flatsoid's video does it very well. It shows you. There's a bloke with stood on a turntable with weights. And he gets the lab tech to spin him, and what he's got to do is he's got his arms outstretched with the weights. He's got to try and bring the weights into his body, and because of that's the angular retention of angular momentum, and it speeds him up because it keeps it and it just applies that force along the angular momentum. So Flatsoid's video is really worth watching because it gives you the correct description of.
But Adam also did that in not that exactly, but from a heliocentric perspective in Ballbusters. So Adam explained that in the heliocentric rhetoric, they do actually have a claim of retention of the angular momentum of the Earth itself, right? It's still spinning. Well, that claim has been bastardized into Coriolis. That's all that's happened.
If the Earth was a ball and spinning, that spinning ball would be retaining its angular momentum.
Yes.
I gotta ask Adam a question. When I put my patch in a bucket with water and I mix it, right? It's like polymer modified cement based patch. After I mix it, I pour some in, and sometimes I don't use it all, and it's in the bottom of the bucket. And it turns to a solid rock. And when I flip it over, if you get it early enough, like I just did, it's freaking hot on the bottom. How's that possible if I used cold water?
Because you've got an exothermic reaction going off. I think as the lime reacts with the water, you get heat given out, don't you?
That's the most bullshit answer I've ever heard. Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. I've got to interject, Adam. Neil, do you know what exothermic means?
Have no clue.
It means it gets hot.
Exo means
it means outside. It gets. It says Adam's just said it gets hot because it gets exothermic. Right, there's an exothermic reaction, so that means it gets hot.
But the reason it's getting hot is not because you're adding heat; it's because the chemicals that are reacting within the mixture, the reaction has a net output of energy.
yeah,
right. I just think it's funny.
Water.
I just think I thought it was funny the first time I heard the word because it was described by Stephen Fry on QI, right? He's talking about one of his professor friends and he hands him a cup of coffee and he goes, "Be careful of that, it's exothermic."
No, that's just hot.
It's giving off heat. It's not an... No, it's exothermic. It's just not an exothermic reaction as you accurately described for Neil.
Conceded, yeah. Here you go. The heat produced by concrete during is the heat of hydration. So the exothermic reaction occurs when water and cement react. The amount of heat produced during the reaction is measured related to the composition of the fineness of the cement, which would just be to do with the amount of surface area. It's not saying it exactly.
I'm just being a prick, Adam, and you probably think that too.
No, I thought you were doing the ballers say gravity. Yeah, because we have gravity. Gravity, therefore gravity. Heat, therefore heat.
Yeah. Nah, he said exothermic reaction. I was just being facetious.
Yeah, without a bit of further research, Neil, it is just the water and the cement, and as the two react, it does liberate heat. So that'll be why.
It still blows my mind. What the hell is it reacting? I'm putting powder in water and it gets hot.
Hey, Neil, is the center of mass inside of the bucket?
Yeah, so what's wrong with that? Have you never seen them put back in high school when they dropped that metal into water and it went absolutely ballistic?
Why? The hell happens
because
that
it's
it
having a
does
chemical
that?
reaction. It's giving off one of its parts to the water, and that's going to give off heat in that process. This is high school chemistry.
I'm just trying to look up the exact reaction for you, Neil, but I'll find
Still
it.
blows my freaking mind.
It's just, would it be like an energy transfer, Nathan?
There you go.
It'd be an exothermic reaction.
Try calcium silicate plus water. Yeah, you need calcium silicate hydrate and calcium hydroxide. And when you break all those bonds down and put them back together, there's a spare bit of energy, so you get heat yielded as well.
There you go.
But it also has to do with when I mix it, because when I put the drill in and spin it, I'm adding a lot of air into it too.
Yeah, if you
So when
substitute water for drill bits, it's not going to work as well.
No, but that mixing is just, as it said earlier, it's just increasing the amount of surface area of the trisilicates to react with the water, which will increase the rate of reactions.
Just tell him magic so we can get on with it.
It's magic, Neo.
Yeah, Adam, I want.
Magic. Abracadabra.
Adam, what happens when that guy lets go of the weights as he's spinning around? Where do the weights go?
No, he pulls them into him.
Right, but what if he lets go?
Oh, the weights just drop off. They'll
Okay.
they'll go a little bit. They'll retain some linear momentum at the point of release. They'll go along that, but only a little bit. But pretty much, they'll just hit the floor, won't they?
Mm-hmm.
Bloody chemistry. Oh, whilst we're there, boys, before the show starts. GCSE result today. I'm most pleased. My boy passed all 8 of his. So well done, Leo.
What
Oh,
marks?
wow, good job.
What marks?
Excellent. Now back to that high school
on.
mark.
Hold on.
High school chemistry.
Hello.
I was freaking cutting class at that time.
What marks did he get?
He did combined higher science and got 2 B pluses. Little sod did higher maths and got a B, so he beat his dad technically from when I was. So well done to him there.
I got a B in
passed
maths.
both of his English, which is good.
You got what in English?
He got 2 C's, English language and lit,
Cool.
which again battered me because I got 2 E's first time round.
So he's already into a college then with those grades.
He's got his college acceptance, so he goes to do his A levels in. You're going to love that. I'm going to save that one to a lot. He's doing it in government politics, economics, and computer science.
Computer what now?
Computer studies was what
Computer
it was called
studies,
in my day.
Excellent. Well done, well done.
Yeah, well
Your
done,
mic, your
Leo.
speaker's a bit loud, by the way, Adam.
Congratulations.
Just getting a bit of feedback from you, that's all, Adam.
The mic's near the speakers. I'll pull it away. Sorry, dude. Yeah, well done, Leo. Well done, son. I'm really proud of you. It was a weird time because it's all that Corona stuff. So he's taught that himself. You know, he's just been sat there with a little guidance on the English from his mum and maths and chemistry. You know, from us, but pretty much for him to achieve that, I think outstrips me by a long way because I had teachers and a school to go to for 2 years. He didn't.
Very good.
He had you and his mother. Those are the teachers.
Yeah. Yeah.
My youngest's first day of nursery today. And for a very brief period, they're both there. So for the first time ever, we'll be without either of them. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
Weird.
Starting to become independent of you already, mate. It's
Yeah, very strange.
Drop them off to the babysitters that are totally strangers. Good idea.
Well, I found out just how dependent the youngest one is today. So after our swimming lesson, the armbands come off and the teacher instructs us to swim across the deep water to the steps and practice getting out. But she grabs hold of a noodle on the way. So I'm like, fair enough, if you want to swim on the noodle. So I let her. She swims across the deep water, no problem. First time on a noodle, I was like, quite impressed. Until she gets to the steps and then decides, I don't need the noodle no more. So she literally gets off the one thing that's holding her up in the water and sinks like a stone. So
That's funny.
not for her.
Odd time to start nursery now, isn't it?
Is it? I don't really know.
It's middle of the summer holidays, isn't it? That's why.
I hadn't really given it much thought. We paid for the nursery when we wanted to pay for it, really. It's more when we thought she was capable of going and...
Oh, right. I get you. Oh, she's only little. How old is she now?
She's 2.
3?
She's just she developed considerably faster than her older sister, and I think that's because of having an older sister.
Yeah. That's why we put Anne in nursery. It weren't for a bit of time. It was because, just so they could start interacting more with other kids, you know what I mean? And the likes. It was, I think the 3 hours in the morning was a relief for Marie, but the purpose was exactly that, just to get them developing more.
I got another question. When did the schooling system come into place, like the way we know it now?
When you say how we know it now, which part of it do you mean? I have no answer to give you. I don't know why I'm asking this to clarify, because it's not like I'm going to give you an answer at the end of this. So I don't know why I'm asking.
I'm asking Adam, because Adam knows everything. How did we get this school system?
What you want along... My understanding is it was historically provided by the home and the church, and there was a 1800s point that it should actually be part of government. Very clever problem reaction solution. And then you get the introduction of charity schools, don't you? And then state obligation. I think by the turn of the century, you've got proper state-run schools, haven't you? And then that feeds through with the old for here one system, and then you get the and that's the change when you get the change from the education system to the comprehensive system. That would be the point where I'd look at the school system and question it. So round about the point where I'm born is really where comprehensive schools come in, where it's no longer critical thinking and learning. It's about regurgitation of facts.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, the Adam Meakin, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Greetings, greetings.
Afternoon, everyone.
How
Pretty
are
good afternoon.
you?
Hey, George. Anyone else in Discord, just so we know you're going to participate? Normally a hello will suffice. No, just somebody dropping. Okay, let's move on.
Hello.
Hello, thank you. Brilliant stuff. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
That's a very exothermic topic at the moment, but no drift.
Means hot.
Yes, it's a hot topic, but no, you need R for that.
You do need half of that, that's right. With that, I'll move on. Any evidence of physical geometric sphere edge horizons, formerly known as Earth curvature?
You want to take this one, Adam?
I could follow through there. No, but you would need R for it.
That's all I need to move on, to be honest. Unless somebody's going to want to pull it apart, don't say you'll need half of that, because that's where I'll move on. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well,
I think that's an
over there.
R.
Hold on, go ahead, George.
Black Swan has debunked the R value. No distance to the sun.
It's correct. The distance to the sun is defined as an AU, which is calculated via R. So you would need R for that.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Hello.
Hey, Arwin.
You know, from the surface to the centre of the presupposed ball Earth, what's that distance called?
Radius?
Radius?
Oh,
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
definitely going to need a radius.
You're going to need R to know that distance, to know where it's supposedly going to be molten, aren't you? So, yeah, you're going to need R.
You're going to need
Yeah,
half
where-
of that. I see.
We need a hard R.
Okay, Owen ask. Shout out to, is it Jules Luds? Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Why are Globers such cowards? Because they have no balls. Boom, boom. Thank you very much for the super chat. I should really read these before I read them out. It's very good. Thank you very much. Is it Jules? Hopefully saying your name correctly. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No, but that was a good one.
What is it?
Well, which one? 106-year out-of-date gravity or the new hotness?
No, I'm not talking about conventions. I'm talking about what is gravity.
Bending space-time in a concept in maths.
What's your evidence for that?
The maths itself is all I need because it only takes place in maths. Likewise, if I say unicorns eat grain in unicorn world, then that is all the evidence I require. Unicorn world's a hypothetical construct. And I assure you, Owen, you cannot refute the fact that in unicorn world, unicorns do eat corn. Or grain.
Well, wouldn't it be required to prove that that entire conception and realm exists first?
I'm not trying to prove it exists. I'm saying it exists in that description. Likewise, I don't have to prove that Narnia exists to say there's a time dilation issue in Narnia, right? That is a fact. It's just not our reality. So it has no bearing on or consequence on our reality. So me describing what gravity is in pseudo-Ramonian force space, that would be the notion that time is bent by the uneven distribution of mass. Well, that has no bearing on reality. It's just a description in Narnia.
What? You're saying
Even though
what
it's got no
gravity is
bearing.
in pseudo-Riemannian force space, but what is it in the real world, though?
Nothing. Nothing. Zero. Nada. It isn't. Maybe Adam, can you tell Arwin that there isn't a gravity in the real world?
Well, no, there isn't. The gravity, I suppose, would be in the mass. That would be, well, I think probably have to go with the hotness, as you say, Einsteinian. And therefore, you'd be looking at M1 and M2. That's going to require an R, I'm afraid, for you to even calculate it in a theoretical dimension. It's still stipulating one of the 3 dimensions parameters, and that is R. So without R, you can't even calculate your G.
There is R in gravity, that's true. Otherwise, it would just be gravity.
No. Centre of M1 being the centre of Earth mass that you're talking about. If you've got 9.8 meters per second acceleration towards the centre of M1, M1 being Earth. Well, you need a radius for that, don't you?
You are going to need it so you can derive your G, yeah. That's part of it.
Yeah. No, without R, there is no G.
Yep.
You're going to need an R for that. We move on. Anybody else? Scientific evidence of gravity, this is not, by the way.
I still don't know what it is in the real world, you know? If something it has scientific evidence, you need it to be something, a phenomenon first in the real world.
That's the point. Yeah. Correct, Darwin. Say that again, but with more confidence. Make it a statement instead of a kind of upward inflection question.
Well, in order to have scientific evidence for something, you need a real-world phenomenon first for your hypothesis.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Arwin. And there is nothing occurring in nature, so therefore you're not going to science gravity because it's not real.
Well, they say everything pulls to the Earth.
Okay. Meanwhile, gas expands in all directions.
Yeah, not including gas. Gas is excluded
I mean,
from
not
that.
including gas.
Everything else.
Not including mass. It's got
This
mass.
is what they told me.
That's. Well, hold on. Let's get some clarity. Who are they? You're talking about anti-flat earthers now, aren't you?
Well, they've been saying this for a while, so yeah, I guess anti-flat earthers have always been around. So yeah, anti-flat earthers. They exclude gas. Anything but gas goes down, so gravity.
Gas doesn't go down. I just said that. So yeah, don't worry. You're dealing with formerly known as globe heads, numpties, spinning ball space monkeys. There's a whole list. Anti-flat earthers might say, well, everything except gas with mass. It's like, no, that's not what the globe rhetoric says. You're going against the globe rhetoric now, aren't you, anti-flat earther? Or maybe it's just that you need to retain 106-year out-of-date gravity because it's got force elements in it. But of course, not including gas.
Clouds don't go down.
Well, they phrased it physical. Anything physical that you could touch comes to the Earth.
Not the
Clouds
clowns.
don't go down.
Not the clowns, it's the bouncy balls.
The former gravity never had a hypothesis either.
Oh,
It
that was
He
Explain.
said clouds. He said clouds, not clowns.
I thought you said cloud because I was doing the circus music. My bad, Eli. You said clouds.
Oh, now I get it. No, clouds, they don't come down. They're just there. If we're honest, like we don't see all of the particles collecting. We don't see any of that. We just see this cloud, and it's just up there, not coming down.
Yeah, gas does not go down, go boom boom, like solid bonded bouncy balls.
Till it rains.
That's not gas.
Right.
No, it's then a liquid in a medium that is considerably less dense than it.
Right.
No,
And
not
as a
gas.
water droplet, it becomes a lot more dense.
Why are we talking about water? So gas expands in all directions, still has mass. It just flies in the face of this assertion that gas is going to be attracted to the centre of M1, which would be Earth, in a Newtonian standpoint of actually C.V. Boy's, Reverend John Michell and Cavendish gravity, to more accurately name it. Well, that was superseded 106 years ago by Einsteinian new hotness, which is the bending of space-time by way of uneven distribution of mass in a geometry known as pseudo-Riemannian force space. That's the current gravity. Bending space-time. Back to Arwin's point. I thought he was going to say it in that gap. Meanwhile, no phenomena to observe, right, Arwin?
That's right. And the one to which the form of gravity is attributed officially disclaimed a hypothesis for the theory.
Right. So neither gravity is going to give you any forces that are going to hold gas here, and gas flies in the face, quite literally, of the Cavendish version of gravity, which is 106 years out of date, and the current gravity is bending space-time in a mathematical construct, like Narnia.
Do you not think it's interesting? I'm just pondering. 10 years ago, I'd have answered with, well, it was Newton sitting under a tree when an apple fell on his head as the first observed phenomena of it. And I want to take that apart. I just find it interesting that that's fed to us all at such an early age, continuously. It's a story we all know.
Can I ask
and that is
before you launch into it, though? Can I ask you a quick question about that statement before you launch into it? So, your story starts with an apple suspended from a stalk on a tree. Is that how apples come to pass? Do they manifest in existence in precarious balance, or do they grow from the ground upwards?
Oh yeah, all of the nutrients, yeah, they're taken from the ground, and the apple's built up in the tree.
So it went up first, before Newton's story, so-called Newton's story, began.
Yes, before cut to Newton, there's a lot of stuff had gone off. A lot of energy work had been done to get the apple.
That school system I'm talking about.
Okay, so Adam, without interruption from anyone else, including me, feel free.
It wasn't to go into that. It was just to say I was just thinking there. It's programmed into the kids at an early age. It's one of those things that, looking back now, I see I'm being fed a phenomena, but back then that was science, wasn't it? That was the science. That was the fundamental underpinning. And that's actually the first mugging off you get, to accept that Newton, having that genius, that abductive reason thinking in there, yeah, is supposed to be a pinnacle moment in science, and it's just a mugging off.
Only from your perspective, though, it was, maybe I'm crediting you something that's not actually you that said this to me, but stop me early if this is wrong. Did you not tell me that during your higher education, you were then told about the wonderful Einsteinian gravity and told that the sort of nonsense of Cavendish was just nonsense?
No, not to that level. No, not like it's the new hotness. It's a bit like the baller rhetoric, really. It's more a further explanation. It's not pointed out to you. I mean, I only did A-level physics up to the first year because it was just getting nonsensical as it gets into it. And so I quit and did psychology instead. But no, and maybe that's why it was getting nonsensical, because I weren't aware of why, but it weren't balancing in the head, and that's because it's built as an add-on. It doesn't say Einstein completely destroys Newton. Ignore what you've just done in the past load of repeat. I hate to use the word experiments now when I think of what we did in A-level physics. Yeah, but it wasn't painted like that. Like I say, he's painted as the beginning of physics, isn't it? But the point I'm making is it's that first tale is actually the first lie. The first point of you accepting or being mugged off into trying to take something as science when it's not. even to the point of the observation of the phenomena.
Is that how you interpret superseded?
Oh, well, exactly. We would never said, oh, by the way, all that stuff we've just done on Newton, that's been superseded. Now let's go to the new hotness. No, it was never portrayed like that. 30 odd years ago, so you know what I mean? But I think that would be quite a noticeable. It's something you'd remember. It's something that's I'm aware of now in terms of it. And I say I don't think it's something that your standard ball, I'm not talking anti-flat earther, thinks either. They think they work together. They support each other.
So if you go back to 1915, when Einstein first said it, what was he doing to Newton's story then? What was missing that he had to come up with this? Mass attracting mass. We never observed it.
Gas behavior, that was what was missing.
He's trying to give a cause, isn't he, Einstein, for spooky action at a distance. Trying to postulate. Now, the only way you can postulate it is mathematically in a non-existent fourth dimension, where he can produce mathematics that can possibly match some observations. That's what he's doing there, isn't it? It's not real. He's just using maths to match some of the observations in reality, but he has to do it in a fourth dimension.
Wait, I don't understand, but the one thing I did take away from you guys' conversation over the months is that you can only solve for like what, two masses or one mass even. So then what is it? What is the math then? If that's true, how is it working out? Because I'm sorry, but you just said that the math seems to describe certain things. Right.
Yeah, so if you, how do I put it? And this isn't my field. You need Brian for this. So help me, Nathan. But for me, it's that description of just dropping a ball that Newton can't explain. But if you build in that fourth dimension, then you can have geodesics that explain why the ball does that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
in that fourth dimension, the apologetics for the force that is not a force that Newton says don't ascribe to me. That's where the apologetics for it is there in the calculations and within the non-Euclidean force space.
So when you get to university, I think you put it year one physics. Oh,
well, mine was A level. This is college. This is before.
Oh,
uni.
okay.
So I did it for a bit, but yeah.
Because I'm thinking that because it sounds. So they basically say, yeah. So here's where we introduce to you that you have to imagine a world in which this will all work. Here's the math for it. Like the 4D space thing. Like, okay, accept this, and through these rose-colored glasses is how you look at everything else.
More like it is like I describe it as is some numbers to prove it. The numbers balance, therefore the way I described it is reality.
Adam, the mass 2, is that referencing mass attracts mass, and mass 1 is describing Einstein? So how could that work if one does 2 and the other one can only do 1? Is that why we have a problem here?
No, that's not orbital mechanics. That's just the force of attraction. So those you could have, like, you know, when we say about the ISS and that it's not, nobody's in I'm into their fantasy world, so I don't have to keep correcting myself. So up there, when you see it on the TV, look, they're weightless, but they're not weightless. If you use that calculation, they've actually got an equivalent of 8.2 newtons per meter per second. So that's what that calculation. That's why they're falling. They're not. That's what their weightlessness comes from. So if you take that calculation, if you bring us to the Earth, it's 9.8. If you go 250 miles away, it's 8 point somewhere or other. That makes sense. That's just the force of attraction between the two. It's not calculating orbital mechanics on that.
Let me know when you're
You
done.
know what that sounds like to me?
It's making me twitch all this begging the question. Let me know when you're finished.
Please,
Right.
'cause I'm stretching my brain here. Physics is not. I started with the disclaimer. I quit physics, and this just.
But this sounds like to me what Akumu was trying to do yesterday in the after show, because there's a word, level, horizontal, horizon. All of these things have specific definitions, right? And so me and Solar were in there talking to a couple of them, and basically saying, like, prior to 2015, level wasn't even used as they're trying to use it today, which he got some citation where it said that level could mean over the surface of the curving water. It's like, wow, you know. But so when we got older definition, or older sources for the definition, it doesn't say anything about how level means that, you know, as long as you're the same. There's a begging the question in Akumu's mind that's not in the wording, but he implies it. So it sounds like when you're talking about this, the Einstein thing, when Tenth just questioned you there about the M1 and M2, it sounds like there's something that's implied rather than proven, right? Am I making any sense?
Yeah, M1.
Like, it's just implied. It's like, oh no, we're gonna take this to mean this.
Yeah, the center of M1. That's R.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about R, basically.
Yeah, it
the
doesn't
mass
matter
of the
how you
Earth.
word it, how you look at it. The lie is the same regardless of what subject you're talking about. It's crazy
Yeah.
how that works like that.
Yeah. It's
Could've
always the
just
same
shut him
thing.
up by saying you need a radius, Akumu virus. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Need a radius. Every time.
Yeah, Eli, I think what he's trying to do is show you in the language on the presupposed curved surface, the zenith is going straight to the center of that Earth, but you're going to need R. So that locally flat doesn't work because you're going to need R. If you're going to say I'm locally flat because the star or whatever is directly over me, but it's going to the center, well, the center implies a sphere. A sphere needs a radius. So the whole thing falls apart without R.
That's correct. I thought you were going to say it sounds like bullshit, because that's what it is. You need R. Forget about all that math. Throw it out the window. You have no radius for this math that you're bringing to me.
Okay. Should we move past gravity?
Yeah, so far AU, distance to the sun, needed R. Then you had center
Neil.
of the Earth.
Neil.
Sorry.
Then you had center of
I
the
did
Earth.
hit mute, though.
Come on. Then you had center of the Earth, you needed R. And then gravity, you needed R. So keep going.
Next one doesn't have it. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, and relax, Tenth.
Not necessarily.
Exothermic, Neil.
Okay. Sorry, Adam, what did
Yo,
you say?
that piece of concrete is still hot, by the way.
No one
Really
knows
hot.
what you're talking about. It was talked about in the pre-show. Go ahead, Adam.
I would say not necessarily. However, it's most likely if they were to present us with a hypothesis, it would include R. But fundamentally, if you even in their world,
That's not a hypothesis. I'm sorry.
No,
If it includes R, then right.
Let me finish.
Okay.
If within anything they're going to postulate, it's going to be within their paradigm, and if within any of that they determine a distance, then unfortunately they would be falling back and relying on R to, as we said, with the distance to the sun. Celestial units are calculated in AUs of a derivative of R. So not necessarily, but actually, I think in reality, if something was presented, there would be an inclusion of R in there at a fundamental level.
Right. With caveats. Go ahead, Eli.
Then it's not a hypothesis.
They haven't presented anything yet, though. We're asking them for...
Because if you say that there's R there, then that's the presupposition, and a hypothesis is a supposition as to what the cause of a natural phenomena would be. That saying R's in there, that has nothing to do with that process.
No, that's not right. They could easily offer up a hypothesis that didn't have it as a independent or dependent variable. They just say it as a control. So that's not necessarily true. But we're jumping the gun because nothing's been offered at this stage. We're asking them. We've got to wait for a response in order to say you're going to need R for that. In other words, you're going to need R with that caveat if they give anything back, which they haven't yet. We're asking them.
So the only thing they can give, and they haven't, or let me rephrase that, what are they observing? And the minute they start explaining, then they're going to need R for that.
Correct.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah.
The moment a response comes, following their response, there is a very, very good chance that you could respond to almost anything they reply to that question with. So it follows as this. Any evidence or any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics. Astrophysicist steps forward and says, if the Earth is a sphere, then I will observe the stars being tracked by my equatorial mount. And I do observe the stars tracked by my equatorial mount because the Earth's a sphere. Then you can respond to him. You're going to need R for that. But you have to wait for the response first, is all the point is. But if you're watching and you throw that question out there, know that pretty much any response that you get could be responded by, or from you, the flat earther, to the globe believer or astrophysicist, with you're going to need R from that. But not when you're asking the question, that's all.
Yeah, but doesn't their whole field rely on R?
Yes, that's the point, yes. But you, right, Neil, you can't say to me, when I ask if there's been any viable hypotheses offered from those fields, you can't respond to that by saying they're going to need R for that. Actually, you could. They're going to need R for that.
Why not?
I've just said it. They can.
I always say
they're
you
going to
could.
need R for that, not you'll need R for that. So in other words, instead of telling me, the person asking the question, that I'll need R for that, i.e. when I'm asking about a molten iron core, it's reasonable to tell me that I'll need R to respond to the question. But to turn it around onto them in one step, they're going to need R for that, aren't they? I'm glad we had this conversation. They're going to need R for that.
Standing on the sphere.
Hold on, let's just summarise it. You can say, when I ask any viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics, you can respond, they're going to need R for that, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I've been trying to say this, and I think so is Tent.
Yeah.
They already assuming they're standing on the sphere.
We know that. We know that, Neil. We're all on the same side here. We've been hashing it out together, my friend.
Yeah, I think Nathan's looking for the proper wording, and it just offered itself up.
I know, he's always looking for the proper because he's English.
It popped in as an objection. You can't
No,
say
it's-
that they're going to need half of that. Hang on. Yeah, you can. You can say it just like that, can't you? They're going to need half of that.
Correct.
Well, semantics are important, and timing is very important because again, you're having a conversation with someone, so you can't just straw man them because you know where you think they're going. Well, if someone is saying, well, someone has, all of these views from a presupposed spherical Earth, then those people that you are referring to would have had to had R at some point. I'm not just going to say, well, you're going to need R because they're not doing anything to presuppose. Well, they're not the ones offering up the information until they then say, well, I'm saying it. Well, then you can say, well, then you're going to need R for that.
Exactly. So until then, they're going to need half of that. It's perfectly satisfactory unless I get challenged otherwise.
Back to what someone said. Who said EQ mount?
Wolfie 6020.
Okay, it is my understanding, and I could be wrong, but I've done fairly good enough research, that the alt-az, altitude azimuth, is based on the observer's location, so a viewpoint from Earth. But the RA and DC declination, which is what he's talking about, the AQ mount, is based from the reference point of the sky or space in their world. So it's one is looking from over there for reference points to Earth, which is RA and declination. And then the other one, altitude and azimuth, is based on the observer's location, which changes because the movement of the sun, if you're tracking that, they'll say it's because the Earth's turning. But on the RA declination for the EQ mount and all that, anyone in the world could go to Google and say, what's the RA and dec for the sun or Venus? And it's the same for everyone. It won't change. So it's a different reference point. So how can they use that to say it has anything to do with the Earth and R?
But they just assume it.
No, I know that, but they can't. But one is from that reference point. The other one is, see, the alt-az destroys R because it's the observer who's here on Earth. It doesn't work because that azimuth is a plane from north in a clockwise motion. It's the bearing or direction, and then you got altitude, the height of the sun, say, and you can go right to that. So you can't have R for that. It won't work.
You don't need R for that. It's your bits that I was thinking about, and I'm not going to postulate any because I'm waiting for a baller to come up with something. But there's your bits there, which we could say are in those fields, and we don't need R in there. In fact, R's an abomination in there, which is fine, and I can kind of work bits in there. But then comes the sticky bit, because suddenly we've got to science it, and that's where you see, to go into their field, they're still then going to say they are probably going to need R.
Yeah, the minute you say orbits,
yeah.
I put the
let Adam get to the end of his point, because I completely agree. You need a weasel word in there. Say that again, Adam.
Yeah, I think until infinitum, there could be something that could go in there, but I think they're probably going to need R for that.
Yeah, they'll probably need R for that.
Yeah,
is fair, I think.
Yeah, like I say, you can do bits with tenths, but to then try and science it, is the only way they're going to be able to start to get towards that. It's a prerequisite once they want to build it into their model, but you can't. I don't think you can be cocky enough to.
Well, let me refine my statement. Let me refine it. If Wolfie, who's making all that noise?
Eli.
Sorry.
Okay, if Wolfie or anyone else is going to say EQ mount, then he can't say that proves the shape of the Earth in any way, shape, or form, because the reference point is the sky or space in their world. It's not the Earth. That's my point.
You can produce similar mathematics for the EQ mount of a flat plane based on perspective and disappearance into the horizon and circular motion above. So you don't. That's what I was saying. You don't really need R for an EQ mount to work. They presuppose R and pre-assume rotation. Yeah, and remember, a fair proportion of what you see with an EQ mount is apparently happening through your feet. You don't see it all. It's not there. It's not validatable, this rotation, is it? It's a presumption again. So for an EQ mount to work, you don't need R.
It has been in the past and will forever be presented up, like it will be by Wolfie, as an affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy. If P, then QQ, therefore P. So if the Earth is a rotating sphere, I will track the stars with my EQ mount, thus I track the stars with my EQ mount, thus the Earth is a rotating sphere. That's how it's presented by Wolfie or any other dick that presents this as a sphere proof. They just affirm the consequent and beg the question. I think EQ is a bit of a dusty old one, and you've got to be a reasonable dabband to talk your way around it and obfuscate away at the right moment when you're asked the wrong question and all those sorts of things. And there's not a great deal of people that can actually do it well enough in debate with the EQ mount. Wolfie's actually one of them. I'll give credit where he's due with flat Earth credit. Anti-flat Earth credit being the thing I'm describing here, right? He knows when to obfuscate at the right moment when someone points out that he's affirming the consequent and begging the question with his EQ mount assumption of a spherical Earth. Yeah. But he can still actually go through the motions of doing that and perhaps leave a few audience members a bit bewildered or convinced that his affirming the consequent actually proves something. So, we'll see. Is there a cat that's stuck in a bag currently in regards to Wolfie that I shouldn't be letting out? Do you know anybody on the panel?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think there's any silence on it.
Okay, I'll give a plug. This is a bit of an interesting plug to be given the last week. But there we go. So from what I understand, Wolfie and Brian's logic are going to face off. And I don't mind actually giving a plug to this particular individual, which is why I say it's weird, because he's been given credit in the past for being a good moderator. I'll highlight that and stress that. But Conspiracy Cats' channel is where this is going to be hosted. As I say, he has been credited as being a good moderator in the past, so I have no reason to believe that he won't do the same now for Wolfie and Brian. So keep your ear to the ground. I don't know when that's going to be announced, but check it out. Brian and Wolfie will face off. Brian did give us a few broad strokes about what the discussion topics were going to be. One of them was the EQ mount, along with, I think there was some sort of stipulation from Wolfie that Brian's got to plot a course. That's what I read. I didn't really understand what it was. I read that and thought, you want Brian to do the thing you do, so presumably you can put the fault in something that you do professionally daily. Okay, if that's the rules, I suppose. If Brian's going to agree to that, fair enough.
Yeah, he's trying to get him on his territory.
That's fair enough. I don't know if Brian's criticised that, though. I know he's criticised various aspects of flights and how they claim to work on a sphere. So it seems like a dusty old, I'm going to show you how it works on my map, let's see how it works on yours false dichotomy, but maybe I'm wrong. We didn't actually ask specifically in housekeeping. Any evidence of the R value?
You're going to need R for that.
I couldn't get to my mute button in time.
Say again, Neil?
I was going to say the same thing, but I couldn't get to my mute button on time.
Okay. Last but by no means least, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
You're going to need a container. No R required, though.
Yeah. R required for atmosphere. Sphere-shaped air? gas without containment.
Yeah.
That's their claim. Again, I suppose you can say that I can't reasonably get an R response to that, but they're going to need R for that, for certain.
They do need R for that, because they claim that the lack of containment is overcome by the little gas particle that couldn't, which is the force applied by gravity to stop these things disappearing. The gravity is calculated by M1s R, so they would need R for that.
Not only that, they got a ball. They got a gas in a ball. Atmosphere, gas shape, a ball-shaped gas.
No, but to calculate the force applied to the otherwise gas particle that's behaving correctly under gas behavior, as it gets further and further away from the surface, that's where it apparently loses energy. That energy that it's taken away is generated by gravity, which is based on the distance from it, which is based on R. So you do need R for gas pressure without a container in their paradigm.
A couple of quick shout outs. Good Servant super chatted quite a considerable amount of time ago and I never actually shouted him out, so shout out to Good Servant for the super chat. I did stick it up on screen while the conversation was rolling so I didn't interrupt, as there's a slight break. Sacred No Ledge, aka Universe. Sacred Knowledge, okay. No Ledge. We got Screw I Knew Satan. I mean Isaac Newton. Anyone want to translate that for me? Screw I Knew Satan, comma, I mean Isaac Newton. Thank you for the super chat.
Eric Hot Mic.
Eric, can you pop yourself on mute? I think someone server muted him already. That concludes the housekeeping, by the way. That's that. Couple of noteworthy points. So throughout this stream, the viewing numbers have gone all over the place. They've been doing it for a couple of weeks, actually, just going all over the place. And yesterday, because I had a over 4-hour stream that went out on my second channel, obviously I couldn't monitor it the entire time, which I typically do. Even if I'm not chatting, I'm normally watching. But yesterday I couldn't, it was just too long, I had things to do. Anyway, I'd periodically monitor it, so I'd come back to it. And I came back to it and I'm chatting away, and then I noticed somebody in the chat mention 500 people watching. I thought, oh, they must be talking about another show. And then I glanced up to notice that there was an excess of 500 people registered as watching yesterday's Uncut and After show on the second channel. Now, I haven't had a bug report yet from YouTube. I'll say this straight away, I'm pretty certain this is just a bug glitch. Because if you've got 500 people watching, the chat is going pretty quick, and it was going at the normal rate that it would go at. And all the people that would normally be in there were in there. There was maybe a couple of new faces, but nothing out of the ordinary. In other words, the stream was just ticking along like it always ticks along. The only exception being the 500 thumbs up and the 620 people at what point that were watching, according to the numbers. So I thought that was really amusing.
Unless...
Say again?
Unless those are the real numbers.
Oh, here we go.
And and the algorithms that suppress what's really going on were broken yesterday. Maybe that's what happened.
No, I don't think so. So I trust my stats. Typically, I'll go through my stats. I'm actually a bit of a slave to them, if I'm honest. But I know roughly percentage-wise what you'll get with how many views, how many comments will be proportional to that, how many people will rate the video based on that, and how many people will therefore share it. Yeah, now I can have a mild influence on how many people will share it. Share the show, by the way. It's the main way this show gets viewed. People sharing. Anyway, that aside, I've got a good idea what the stats should indicate. Now, do I do well with comments? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, people are very interactive with this show, which is good, you know, or it would be if I was actually benefiting from it in the algorithm. I shouldn't talk in general terms here, but that's just the way I'm going to. Typically, that would be good, right? A lot of interaction in the comments would mean, you know, this video will get participation, therefore longer viewership, therefore I'll put it in front of more people, would be the algorithmic version of, oh, this is a good video. Now, while I don't necessarily get that, I still know what I get in terms of percentage-wise figures comparatively. So if I suddenly see one of those figures just, you know, skew if, like no ratings, or 2 thumbs up on a video that's had 1,000 views. I'm like, that's just an error. Or likewise, if I see the normal number of 50, 60 thumbs up and 20, 30 thumbs down, if everybody hates that video, then I'll still see the normal 1,000 people watching it, not 600 people all at once watching it. So typically when that happens, negatively or positively, YouTube just correct it. So glitches like that tend to get corrected pretty quickly, which I'm grateful of, because typically for me, it's someone coming in with 1 million sock accounts and spamming thumbs down, which YouTube just immediately recognise and just get rid of the following day. And likewise, if there's some bot that's out there deciding that they're going to put 500 views on my video for whatever reason, then YouTube will just see that and go, those aren't real views, and they just get rid of them, which is good. Because I want real stats. I know a lot of people just want to seem popular or seem like they've got more views, and the numbers themselves don't matter, but to me they really, really matter, because it tells me how many people are watching, how many, I have to trust my stats so I can react to them. And if they're inaccurate, I can't react to them in a way that's worthy of the reaction and the time that they get. So to me, they're quite important. But I just thought it was funny. I mean, this is just a big aside to the fact that I thought it was amusing that up until now, 320 on this channel, Nathan Oakley 1980, pre-COVID, was my peak. So just before COVID hit, that was when I got the most live viewers, about 320. And I was very, very, very pleased with that. That's exceptional as far as I'm concerned for such a small channel. But getting 620 on the second channel, subscribe today, by the way, is just ludicrous. That wasn't the case. But certainly noteworthy, though. So Jim West says 151 watching, only 21 likes. Yeah, that's perfectly normal.
Yeah, I still want to talk about the EQ mount with Adam, if he's willing.
For what I know, mate,
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I see another trick here, much like the sextant. See, the EQ mount is set to Polaris. And what you're measuring with right ascension and declination is how the stars move around Polaris. That's what I mean when I say the reference point is not the Earth. Whereas altitude and azimuth, you still have the same stars, but you're not setting anything to Polaris. You're just taking a siding. And what they've done is both work, obviously, on a flat plane. But the trick is one is set, because you got to set the EQ mount pointing to Polaris and make everything. And you got to put in your longitude, latitude before you even start using it. Whereas just from cursory research, the altitude azimuth is, you could be in England or you could be in the middle of the ocean and you're sighting a luminary and you go to the book. So it's two different ways of doing the same thing, but it doesn't prove a globe, is my point.
No, you have to affirm the consequent.
Right, but when they come on and say the EQ mount proves a sphere, I want to have a quick way of just saying, no, it doesn't. It just proves that one is done to all the stars' movements around Polaris with your EQ mount set to that, and the other one is you with a handheld device sighting luminaries that tell you where they are, GP, over the Earth, and doing it a second way. It doesn't mean it describes what you're on. It just gives you coordinates once you do the math and the calculations.
Okay, I mean, maybe this is something that you get your teeth into next, but for me, what I hear when EQ mount comes up is the affirming the consequent. Or it might intrigue you to, because it sounds very similar to triangulation from what you've just described. Well, the process that they're actually employing, okay, so they're now to get a mount with a telescope on it to track along with the stars. Okay, fine. That's great. But every assumption that they'll probably use zenith for, or azimuth for, to then go on to say that that's why it's on a sphere, will always be non sequitur.
Right. No, I totally agree that it's a presupposition and they're twisting it. The point is the EQ mount is tracking the star's reference from Polaris. They're trying to say it's from Earth.
if I wanted to track a star, and I wanted to program an EQ mount, and I knew my longitude and my latitude, and I knew the times that I wanted it to follow, I could go to the almanac, type in where I want the telescope to be pointing at a particular time based on my geographic position and the star's GP. I could look all those numbers up and twist it at the right time to do the same thing. That assumption would give the same movement of the EQ mount. Yeah, none of it would be based on a sphere. All of it would be based on 3D trig of the stars, that your basic way of calculating, wouldn't it? That would work just as well. It would improve by the motion of the EQ mount, round or flat, as it doesn't for them. The calculation would.
I could just add the fundy bit. So Adam said to get your longitude and latitude line. So immediately opening the door for them to say, well, that's only been capable on a sphere. We've only got that from a sphere, therefore it can only work on a sphere. That's where they'd insert it 10th.
No, I'm aware of that. I'm thinking beyond that. I'm saying there, like right now, I typed into. I'll just post it for you in Master B so you can see it. Let me do this, and then I'll comment. Okay, coming your way. Tell me when you got it.
Where's it going?
Master B.
Okay.
Okay, so you could type, again, this is just from beginning research, so I'm going to get into it because I see something here like I saw something in the sextant. Venus position tracker live. I mean, this is just done a minute ago. Sun distance, blah, blah, blah. Earth distance, blah, blah, blah. RA, right ascension, 9 hours, 29 minutes, 4.8 seconds. December 17th. So you can type into Google or Stellarium, I understand as well, at your current time when you could observe these stars, if you're using an EQ mount that's been properly set to Polaris, if you're in the northern, I don't even want to say hemisphere, but you have to line it up to Polaris to begin with. So it's stationed on Polaris. And then you enter your longitude, latitude, and then you go, and instead of trying to look at the sky and say, where is this? All you do is go and say, give me where it is based on my alignment. And then you just go turn your dials and sure enough, look through the telescope and there's Venus or there's Saturn because it's in your night sky to be seen. So it's set to the sky coordinate system, not the Earth coordinate system. Now they're going to flip it around and say, this proves we're on the ball. Of course, that's a presupposition and stupid. But they're not it has nothing to do with the Earth, is what I'm trying to say. It has nothing to do with shape.
No, I get that. You've made that clear.
Yeah, it'll be coming in the future because there's something here that popped up like when I was doing the sextant. I said, wait a minute, how can they? So, yeah, more time.
Good stuff. Very good stuff. Certainly needs a bit more looking into. Obviously, at the moment, we're not going to claim it as flat Earth proof or anything, but by the same token, where Adam says, it's certainly possible to be done on a flat surface. Maybe it'll transpire it's impossible to do on a sphere.
You look at those figures that Tam pulled up. So if I just set up a basic rig for something to follow those azimuths, I could set it up, couldn't I? I wouldn't have to know the Earth's a ball or flat. I could just, if I've got a catalogue of where that star will be at certain times, which is what the almanac shows, I could program the telescope to look at those positions at those times, and it would track the star.
Yeah, you've just described what an EQ mount does. Yes, that's right. So in that description, at no point do you go, well, I necessitate a sphere in any of this setup. So other than them affirming the consequent and saying, because the Earth's a sphere, EQ mount, and then they go into a long-winded description of how it works. And because long-winded description of how it works, Earth's a sphere. That's all they'll ever do.
You're going to need R for that.
You are going to need R for that.
Well, you do in their world, because all of that star movement, there's no perspective, first and foremost, in their calculation. All of the movement, the repositioning of the star, is assumed to be caused by Earth rotation. All of it. So you do need R. Because we don't need R.
Yeah,
we know that
that's
those stars and their different azimuths relate to a GP position over a flat plane.
That's exactly right, Adam. In that EQ tracking system, there you're going to have to track, and they say it's because the Earth's rotating rather than the sky is moving. Exactly right.
There's been a few instances so far where people have tried to spin this into R. That would be flat Earthers' R value. How was it phrased yesterday? My obsession with R? Au contraire. I have no requirement for R. Similarly, I have no requirement for reference frames. You do. But I like the fact that it's immediately trying to be spun, only after 18 months of us pointing out that it's debunked, I might add. Suddenly now it's come to a head. They're like, it's your R value that's dead. It's yours.
They're trying to conflate R's.
They're trying to say I'm obsessed with the R value. And I'm saying that will eventually go the same way as reference frames, which is to say, what? You think we need an R value? Even the dude yesterday, I don't need an R value. It's obvious which way this is going to go. The claim that Earth needs an R value, because it's there in every single one of their claims, will be turned into our claim that Earth claims that they need an R value, and that'll be wrong. That's how it'll go by the anti-flat earthers.
Nobody ever claimed the Earth had a radius.
Exactly how it gets it.
Yeah, all spheres, apparent or geometric, have a radius. If you could prove me wrong on that, I'd like to hear about it.
There's another example. Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, was saying, what bulge? You flat earthers saying there should be a bulge? No, not us flat earthers. You and your curve maths. Just anti-flat earthers like to deny their own rhetoric because it's been pointed out to be incorrect by flat earthers. So that bit pointed out to be incorrect by flat earthers, attack the messenger and how they present it as incorrect. Even if that means putting a complete kibosh on their own original globe claim.
Yeah, they say it's our claim. We get blamed for it all of a sudden.
Yeah, we're blamed for their failures in the globe model, and they're put on us to suddenly start proving that the globe claims Earth should turn underneath because it says it's got Coriolis effect, that being you turning underneath to see the effect. But suddenly that's our claim and misunderstanding about it. No, we don't make that claim.
No, it's our claim about what they claim. They learned that claims bring consequences, so they just want to imagine the Earth being a ball and just not try to avoid making claims about it at all.
Chris Berry says, all sphere in love and war. Thank you very much for the super chat, Chris.
Ha.
They do, though. Exactly, Arwin. Oh, right. You claim... My claim is wrong. Well, that's you making a claim, then. No, I'm refuting your claim. No, that's you making a claim. You claim my claim is wrong. Therefore, I can challenge your claim that my claim is wrong. That's just their logic. It's totally ass backwards, but that's just how they work, isn't it? It does bring a smile to my face.
It was called Bizarro World.
Bizarro World, yeah. Well, now we've defined it, haven't we? It's not Bizarro World, it's anti-flat earthers.
We're going to come out with an anti-flat earther book similar to Where's Waldo. It's going to be said, Where's R?
Yeah. What, you want R? I can't ask for that. Seeking an unrealistic concession, I think. With that, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streamed, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, a massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, and I will see you all in the next video.
fucking name!
He's back.
Right when Tony's here, Arwen's rumpusing. Come on, Arwen.
It's always the fucking way. Hey, you can't talk, Neil. You're normally doing it as well.
He's pretending it's about the guy at the door. He's just playing it.
Oh, I wish we could meet him.
Oh, don't be like that first thing you say when I'm opening my mic to you.
I know, but he's rumpusing in the background.
Precies, ja.
Says you, I can hear your TV.
Maar ja, het was zo stressig gisteren, joh.
Oh, can you? Hang on.
It's
I've not been
Arwen.
in for a while, so the volumes are...
De show was ook echt mislukt.
Just stick
door,
Arwen on
ik was
mute.
gewoon zo afgeleid.
Thank you.
Ah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to share something with you guys that's really interesting. Spurs Chemo rang earlier on today, and I was talking to him about how Gem Panda's server are gradually moving towards accepting that gravity is not a force. They're accepting that Einstein is the current position in science or physics today. And I was like, that's really great. I said, but still not all the full story, is it? I said, you've got to go a little bit further than just accepting that it's not a force, because you've got to then apply it. And that's where the argument starts, because once they start applying it's not a force, obviously gravity can't be the container that houses the gas pressure. But anyway, I'm just grateful that he acknowledged, or they are beginning to acknowledge that gravity is not a force. But here, get this. I used a good analogy with him. You guys were touching on at the beginning of the show. You were touching on Newtonian physics and how Newton is rammed into us as from birth, essentially at school. And I just wanted to point out something, right? I want to run through a scenario that I went through with Spurs, and he got it, penny dropped with him. And I want you guys to appreciate the magnitude of this point, because I think it's a brilliant point. I've got a device, I've got a thing, I've got an object, right? And it's not a drone, but you can think of it as a drone, right? Now, I say that literally. It's not a drone, but it acts like a drone. So I get it up, I hold it at 6 feet in the air, let go of it, and it doesn't move, right? But on my command, I can make it move up or I can make it move down, and I can then calculate using F equals ma that a force must be doing it. Secretly, behind the corner, there's little Maxwell's demon that's controlling it. And when I do certain things, he responds to me, and he moves it up and down. But only I know that. You guys don't know that. So you don't realize I'm controlling it. But I secretly know that I am. So ball earthers would see an accelerating mass up or down, and if it goes down, they ascribe gravity to it because a force must be required. But if it goes up, they ascribe buoyancy to it because, again, a force must be required. But calculating the acceleration of the mass means that a force is doing it. But only I know that Maxwell's demon's round the corner and he's controlling it with his little remote control. So it's just like a drone, right? And I was saying to Spurs that Newton is simply calculating the effect. But Newton doesn't care about the cause. He's simply quantifying the arithmetic to quantify the effect. And I said, Spurs, you've got to understand that Newton isn't interested in the cause, or he was interested in the cause, but couldn't ascertain it. I said, but he's not the position anymore. Einstein is. Now they're beginning to accept that, but they're still going to calculate the effect. They don't realise or accept that there's a little man round the corner doing this. Anyway, Spurs got it straight away. He realised that calculating the effect doesn't give us the effect that we're looking for. It doesn't give us the answer that we're looking for. We want the cause. So now he's going to go in there and Gem Pandas. Sorry, Mickey's just scratching away. Say hi, Mickey. Mickey's not dead, for those that are wondering. Spurs is now going to go back to Gem Panda's server, and he's going to use the remote control car or the remote control drone. It's not a drone, but you can think of it as a drone, as the example to try and demonstrate how Newton doesn't give us what the cause is. It calculates the effect. Well, we want to know what's causing it, and now we do know what's causing it. It's got something to do with the medium, and they don't like talking about the medium. They want to calculate the maths. They want to calculate the force, and then ascribe it with a gravity or a buoyancy. And they don't want to talk about the medium. But the more we talk about the medium, the more it pisses them off, because we know that that is the cause of it. It's the relationship of the object in its medium. And we can calculate it if we really want to. But we want to manipulate it and we want to cause it. So to those ballers out there that ignore that gravity isn't Newtonian anymore, and they still want to calculate it as though it's a force and then ascribe gravity or buoyancy to it, no, we want to see the cause. So we don't care how you're going to calculate the effect. We want to see the cause of it, please. I'm done.
Excellent. Loved it.
Uneven distribution of mass in pseudo-Riemannian force space. Do I get a prize?
So you gave Spurs a new thing to go to Gems with. That's going to be great and fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You get a price. I mean, Spurs didn't realise that, or he did realise, but it never computed with him that it's defined as an effect. And when I tried to explain to him that he's calculating the effect, but he's not demonstrating the cause, the penny dropped, and now he gets it. And I'm like, Spurs, I thought you got this. And he's like, yeah, of course I got it. And I'm like, yeah, but now you realise it because it's hit home. He's now going to go into Gem Pandas. He's going to be batting them all out the park. But I think it's like one of those epiphany moments where we all have it periodically and we all go, do you know what? That makes so much sense. Spurs now gets that gravity's an effect. Hallelujah. And I just wanted to bug him because each time I hear him talking about gravity, he allows them to like talk about Newtonian. He doesn't question it. And I'm like, Spurs, don't let them get away with calling it an apparent force or a pseudo force. Tell them it's an effect. It's defined as an effect, and it means it's an effect. It's not a cause. It's not an apparent cause. It's not a pseudo force. It's an effect. And he now gets it, and I'm hoping to God that he doesn't allow them to apply Newtonian nonsense to it anymore, because that's not even the current science, Spurs. Come on.
Listen, that happened to me yesterday with drop. I don't know. Elijah just said it in a way where it opened up to me, and I seen the whole thing that QE's been saying for years.
Yep.
Right, well, maybe you could elaborate a little on what is actually the difference between the cause or the effect gravity, right? Because as it was described earlier about how Newton actually calculated the details, it's not about establishing the cause, it's about calculating, showing the patterns of the result, right? The patterns of how the result comes rolling out. And that's completely has no relation to what actually causes the entire process. It's just how does the process unroll? That's what it was really about.
I'll give you an example, Arwin. We were talking earlier about me at A-level physics. One of the things we did was you had to replicate some of Newton's stuff, which is dropping balls from different heights, measuring the acceleration rate. And that's the point. What you did was measure the speed at which a ball was dropping and the rate it was accelerating. That's what you measured. Well, that's what Newton measured, right? Now, the rest of it is back-worked mathematics to fit in with those measurements. And with, as Newton describes, with his effects not even being able to describe why these things are, because he can't describe what they are because he's not isolated them. He's not varied them in any way. What he's done is take basic observations, and interpreted them with this mystical force. But he never measured or controlled it or even verified it. He just interpreted reality. And the way he interprets it is in maths, and in the maths it requires something. The F equals ma. It requires something to do that. So he just describes a force to it, even though he states, "Please don't describe it." But in the mathematics, it's there, isn't it? It's
let me just compares it with the force, right?
It's only to make the numbers balanced. Do you understand? That's all.
Well, let me answer Arwin's question. Let me answer Arwin's question. He said, can you elaborate a little bit more on what is cause and effect, or words to that effect? It's really simple, but it's difficult to apply. You can't have the effect without the cause. It's the necessary antecedent for the effect. So if I put it in that language, you get it, but it's not that easy to apply because in theory, you can simply say that the car ran into the back of the other car because he didn't press the brake pedal. That's really simple. That was the cause was failing to press the brake pedal. The effect was he crashed into the car, but then that car then crashed into the car in front, and in the front car there was somebody that was very elderly that died. And then the question is, was it a domino effect? Did one cause the other? And where should causation start and stop? And then what's the effect? So it can be difficult to apply. That's just a car crash incident. But turning on the light switch is a good one that they often cite. They often say, well, switching the light on didn't turn the light on, did it? Well, yeah, it did. That was the cause of the light bulb being illuminated. You flicked the switch. Now, if you apply I can't remember the guy now. The approach where you start talking about the subatomic level where the electrons flowed through the wires and the power station that generated it and all that approach, then you can obfuscate the hell out of the argument until somebody
chain link, right? The causal chain link.
until somebody redefines the definition for the independent variable and says it's the thing that you manipulate is the cause. That's science's own rules. So you did flick the switch. That was the cause of the light switching on. Yes, there were other things as well. That's the explanation for what went on. But the cause is the but-for thing. It's the but-for you flicking the switch, the light would not illuminate. That is a true statement. You can demonstrate it 100 times out of 100. It'll always work. So the cause is flicking the light switch. Now, if you want to argue about the technology that's behind it with the wires and all that, yeah, that's fine. You can get involved in the bog of that. And ultimately, you're explaining science and technology there, not just causation in science. You're talking about technology too. So cause, effect. You can't have the effect without the cause. But when it comes to gravity or when it comes to atmospheric pressure, we do have the effect. So there must be a cause. You can't just calculate it using the Boltzmann equations. You can't just assume it because you can calculate it by applying gravity or buoyancy. We want the cause. So we want the experiment, not the calculation. So causation's really easy to understand. It's not that easy to apply because you never know really where to stop. That's where the definitions come into it. And that's what we should stick to. But the problem is they don't like the definitions when we use them because they want to make the straight line into a curved line. They want to make fast into slow. They want to make hot into cold when it suits their model. How can you have a conversation with somebody that wants to change the fundamental basics language? You can't. There is no conversation with these people.
Now, they just want to rush their way through it, right? So I'd like to make another comparison.
Can you do it in 1 second?
Second law.
I just want to say something to Anthony. Anthony, can you turn your gain down on your mic? It's just right into the compressors. Please, can you turn your gain down like 20, 30%?
Is that any better?
Yes, considerably. Thank you.
All right, can I?
Sorry, I apologise. My bad.
I wanted to draw another comparison to the second law of thermodynamics, right? We know that gas pressure expands in all directions to fill the container. There have been studies into how this actually happens and the details of it. Like, what if there is something solid in the way it will go around it, in what patterns, right? The entire study of turbulence, how the patterns of air moving to fill the container work, right? Well, that is apparently the same as how gravity originally was regarded. It's like the patterns of it. Nobody is actually trying to figure out, but why does gas expand in all directions? We just know it does. Instead, they focus on how does it do that, what are the patterns, what are the details, the dynamics, and that is actually what Newton tried with gravity as well, right? It's just the patterns of it, not the cause. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Cool.
You're repackaging what Anthony said perfectly.
It's really interesting that what you guys are talking about here to me. I want to understand it better because when you're talking about that, I think someone said it was called chain link. So like if someone flicks the light on and that's the cause, but couldn't the cause actually be the guy who built the power plant? Because without the power plant, you couldn't flick the light on. So how do you decide when something is the cause?
Yeah, but that's about the causal chain link, right? There's many causes.
Stop.
This
Just
is
let
where you
Anthony
apply
say
the
the word.
definition.
Just 2 words. Just let him say but for.
Yeah, independent variable definition. But for you flicking the switch, the light would not illuminate. It's defined by the independent variable. It's the scientific. That's where science draws the line. Now they don't like that because we can manipulate the medium and we can cause an acceleration. And they don't like that because they want to infer buoyancy or gravity as the cause. They don't want to talk about the manipulation of the medium, but the definition defines it. So scientifically speaking, the independent variable tells you where to draw the line. Now it's not the same in legal. So I gave the example of a car crash, but in science, that's where it is. So ultimately, just look at the definition and apply it. Independent variable is the thing that you manipulate to cause the effect. That's it.
And that's based off logic, right? Like, so how did they logic that?
No. It's not based on logic. It's based on the definition of the independent variable from scientific method. That is their standard of science.
But didn't the scientific method come from logic?
Originally, yeah, it's come from logic, but no, because it's an empirical method. It's not utilising logic, it's utilising empiricism, because of the null. You want me to explain that? At the end of the...
I'm getting it.
Okay, at the end of the process, you've got to validate something, basically. So when you formulate a hypothesis, you've got the effect, which is kind of what we're tossing around in this respect with gravity, but we're going to put that to one side just for 1 second. We're going to assume we've got a phenomena or a phenomenon to observe, and we're going to say, what causes that? So we say, I think this causes that, right? Well, that's an alternative hypothesis. If this, then that. But in a scientific prediction, which is what a hypothesis is in this context, then you've also got something called a null. And the null is the contrapositive of the alternative statement. So whereas in the alternative it's if A, then B, I think this causes that, then you've also got the null, which is I think this won't cause that. Now, both go through the process when you actualize a hypothesis. That is to perform the experiment, vary A, and see if it causes B. Now, I've got to check that you've followed along with me so far for my next statement to make sense in terms of the empiricism. But do you follow that you're going to vary A to see if it causes B, but the prediction, hypothesis, scientific prediction, has also got the contrapositive alongside it, which is if A, not B? You with me so far?
Yep.
Perfect. So if A, not B, and if A, then B are mutually exclusive statements. Both cannot be held as true simultaneously. Do you understand?
100%, yeah.
A can't both cause B and not cause B at the same time. That can't happen. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. So therefore, when you vary A, it's either going to cause B or not going to cause B. And one of those was your prediction in the hypothesis. So in your hypothesis, both of those outcomes were accounted for. So at the end of the experiment, one or other, that would be null or alternative, will be validated. You understand?
Yeah, but this makes me think about another thing we were talking about before, is that there's a C, which is the control variable, right? So when you're doing that and you don't have C correctly set up, you might not be able to figure out if A causes B, right?
No, C,
if in the heat.
no, C is just everything that you hold constant. So they're sometimes referred to as, it sounds weird, but constant variables. Things that potentially could vary, but you will hold constant so as to not affect the test. Anthony, can you just pop yourself on mute? Your line's bobbling away.
Exactly. So like in the heat water thing, like we were talking about before, you can apply heat, but it doesn't always so A doesn't always cause B, so you have to have C, which is a control. I guess it would be the temperature, right? But without that, you can't vary, or you can't prove your null or prove your hypothesis without the C. But I'm kind of going off the topic a little bit.
No, it's fine. C won't affect the test. That's the point in your control variables. They're designed to be held constant so as to not affect the test. Now, if you're saying that one of the things that's held constant when you vary A to see if it causes B, well, one of the constants might be the cause if you varied it. Yeah, for sure. Right? But you haven't guessed right at that point. You're varying A. So the controls are irrelevant because they're not varying. You're just varying A and see if it causes B. And if you vary A and it causes B, you validate the alternative. And if you vary A and it does not cause B, you validate the null. The point being, summarise the actual point here, that at some stage you're going to validate your prediction be it your prediction that it causes it or your prediction that it doesn't cause it. One or other must be validated, and because of which the end result is empirical. If it didn't cause B, it can't be the cause. You've ruled it out as the cause. You've proved it didn't cause it. But that's the point. Proved it didn't cause it. You proved it isn't that causes your effect. That's empiricism. Proof. Anthony. Nice long protracted silence from the guest who asked about empiricism in science. Did you want to present something? I've popped you on mute because you kept on making background noise.
I think
Point
he's
out for the
just
audience's benefit.
presenting
I
it.
only half paid attention to that guest because of the chaos Anthony was causing, sharing screens and causing audio chaos. Thank you so much, Anthony. I've got you on mute because you caused audio chaos. As you just put up a screen share and then disappeared.
No, I mean, I didn't realise I was on mute.
Yeah, I had to. Sorry. You were causing chaos.
All right. I was just going to say to the gent that was asking, if we apply what you've just described, I did that egg test that the ballers hate talking about, and they do anything possible to try and ridicule it. But in that egg test, I said specifically that the phenomena, I've got it on screen for the audience that are watching, I identified the phenomena, which was that some things appear to float, some things appear to sink, some things appear to suspend in their medium. And my hypothesis was that if I change the density of the medium, the egg will accelerate. And then my null hypothesis was that if I change the density of the medium, the egg will not accelerate. It's the opposite. So then what I did was I defined the terms that I was going to use. I was going to, there we go. So I was going to identify the independent variable, which in this case was the density of the medium, and the dependent variable, which is the effect. The egg will move. Then I did the test, and I proved that one or the other will be true, and is true. If you manipulate the density of the medium, the egg will move. Now, by definition within science, their own definition of the independent variable tells you that the cause is the thing that I manipulated. So adding the salt to the water caused the acceleration. Now, they tell you that mass doesn't cause anything. If I add mass to a medium, it won't cause anything because mass is not a force. And they'll come up with all sorts of explanations for why it doesn't cause it. Yet I demonstrated that it did cause it. Now, you can argue all day about what the explanation is, but it doesn't change the fact that the thing that I did cause the effect. So the reality is, the minute they infer gravity or buoyancy, that's not what I manipulated, is it? I flicked the light switch on, so to speak. I added a bit of mass. So that is the cause. Now, if you want to argue about the electrons flowing down the wire in the same way of arguing about gravity pulling this, that, and the other, who cares? It wasn't the cause. So that's outside of scientific method, and that's into pseudoscience. If you want to remain in science and not wander off into the quagmire of pseudoscience, you've got to stick to the definition, the terms. These are agreed terms, and they're not my terms. These are the terms of science. The problem is they don't like it when we do it. So they'll either change the straight line into a curve, or they'll change the addition of the salt into gravity or buoyancy. They'll do anything than accept it. But these are their terms, and when we apply them, they don't like them. I'm done.
Anthony, could you send us your YouTube video of this, please?
It's on
Send it into
screen.
the chat. That'd be great.
Just read out the title of the video on screen, Anthony, just for my audience's benefit, and the channel name. You're on mute.
Send it me, Tony, and I'll stick it in Discord.
Can you just read out Anthony's video title, Adam, as he's on mute?
It's called Relative Density. The medium is the reason why things accelerate on Earth, not Newton/Einstein.
Catchy title.
It's a long, bloody title. You might want to say it again.
Relative density. The medium is the reason why things accelerate on Earth, not Newton and Einstein.
There you go.
Yeah, I've got it. Thank you.
I just want to clear up some stuff, if I can. Sorry to keep talking about this. So, in the example of the light switch, the effect is the light being turned on. The cause is the guy flicking the switch. But it seems like the cause of the guy, like the guy turning on the switch, that the cause can be studied as an effect too, because you'd be like, okay, so like, why did the switch turn on a light? Because now you could be like, okay, what caused that? But if science is about studying the effect, you can't study a cause, can you? Or can you also apply that? Like,
Yeah,
science is also the cause of a cause.
Well, you're trying to reposition the causal relationship between a man holding a gun and firing it, right? And then it knocks a can off, I don't know, 100 yards down the range. And you go, what caused that to actually occur? You go, well, the guy pulled the trigger on the gun, pointing it at the cannon, and then it flied off. No, but for the fact that there was Smith & Wesson in existence manufacturing guns, and the ammunition had a chemical reaction, if it wasn't for that chemical reaction, that wouldn't have occurred, therefore the cause is the chemical reaction in the gun. Well, no, because every single aspect of what we're studying when we describe this is man-made, without exception, because there's no phenomena to study. Now, in Anthony's egg experiment, there's a natural phenomena. Some things go up, some things go down, some things are neutral. We observe that effect all the time. That's a natural phenomena. So Anthony's gone, check it out. Some things go up, some things go down, some things are neutral. Well, I wonder what causes that to happen. Sometimes it happens before my very eyes, right? Egg in water, sometimes you put it in the water. Obviously, I'm spending all of my days putting eggs in water and waiting a few days to see them move, because that's what I do in my day, says Anthony. Anyway, it's definitely a natural phenomena that he's describing. So he can science it.
Yeah,
I wonder what causes
there's
it.
loads of videos. Yeah, there's loads of videos on it. He's not the only one to do it. There's hundreds of them out there doing the same experiment.
Don't be so quick. Yes, he is the first to do it. Did anybody else put salt with egg and watch the phenomena being described occur, if you like? Yeah, you can say loads of people did. What Anthony did was formulate a validated hypothesis. That would be his prediction of cause and effect after observing a phenomena with a null, and then he actualized that prediction. That's the first. I don't know of any. If you can find me somebody else, I've done it. I've got a video of me doing that with an egg. Do I claim any credit here or ever mention that I've done it? No, because I did not do what Anthony did. He formulated his hypothesis based on his observed phenomena and then did an experiment. That's the scientific method. I didn't do that.
Yeah, I've asked you about this before to clarify too, and I'm still working on it, and I think I get it. But so, yeah, the man-made, it's man-made in those examples. But one time we talked about vitamin C causing or helping your health, right? But at first they thought it was an orange, right? So the independent variable would have been an orange until they figured out it was vitamin C.
Yeah.
Right?
So likewise, orange versus adding salt. Well, salt's not the cause. It's the density. But once you get into a validated hypothesis, you can then move forward with theory. That's where scientific theory comes in. So you've got a prediction of cause and effect validated. What do you do then? Well, you go, is it the orange that causes it? Well, you're not going to ask that question. You're going to say, what part of the orange causes it? And then you can move forward. You can do more science. That's how science works. It's a progressive method. And that's what theories are. The point, most importantly, is that it's after experimentation. So can Anthony move forward to say, well, what is it about the salt? Well, it makes the water more dense. We all know that, right? But at the time, if you said he was in complete isolation and just did this and didn't know what it was about the salt, what the salt did to the water, because it just disappears, right? So I don't know what the salt's doing, what aspect of the salt is changing the water. What is the change within the water that causes that? Well, it's the density of the water. We all intrinsically know that. We see people floating on the Dead Sea and go, yeah, that's because it's more dense.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm really getting it now.
The thing is, with science, you'll often see the actualization of the hypothesis reach you through some sort of technology. Yeah, there'll be a scientific discovery that then people can extrapolate out and put into a piece of equipment or a piece of electronics or whatever, an optical device, whatever that may be. And that will be the thing that gets the praise, if you like, the headlines. And it'll often be touted with the science that's backing it. Rightly so. Yeah? But those things aren't necessarily the advancement of science using the scientific method. They're technological advancements that people tend to hear about because of a scientific discovery. But it'll go back to the scientific discovery in the... let's think of an example rather than just putting it in vague terms. Probably the quantum eraser, why not? We talk about it all the time. So that is part of a long progression in terms of a study of light. How does light behave? So it's not like they've started by going, well, light diffracts. It's like 10 steps along the process of trying to figure out what light is and how it behaves. So in that respect, you could start at that stage and just look at it in isolation and go, well, who on earth went light diffracts? When did they observe that? I mean, it does. You could look at some light passing through a few leaves and see the diffraction pattern. But, you know, who started at that stage? Well, they didn't. You know, they're already going through various different other experiments. That's how the method works. They're forming their theories and then finding that they've got new phenomena to study. And that's how it progresses. And when you really look into it, you realise, without sounding critical of these fields, how little they actually know. And these are the people at the top of the tree. I mean, they've got a scientific backing, like true, actual, real science, not the bullshit science that we deal with normally. They're actually science. And yet you look into it and go, wow, we have a really limited understanding of this, don't we? It's quite humbling, I've got to say.
I guess that's what they mean by science being limited, because they want to be able to imagine things and then say it's true. Can't do that if you're being informed by the reality you're living in.
Well, Eli, we do not observe Earth's motion. So it's pseudoscience to say Earth is turning. So there's no natural phenomenon of Earth turning. We do not experience it. Now, we do see the luminaries move above us, but they want to say in their heliocentric model that no, that it's not that. We're the one turning. You say, great, where's the everyday occurrence of Earth-based Coriolis then? Well, you wouldn't expect to see drift. You see how it just dies on itself?
Yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to hopefully highlight on Saturday. And hopefully Adam will be there saying the same thing alongside QE, which is you need to hammer home the first step. And it's not surprising that the Science Buddy's top result on Google, if you ask what the scientific method is there, is to ask a question. Because they need to convolute science at a fundamental level. Same goes for descriptions of natural laws as scientific laws when they're not. Again, so you can hijack things and just give explanations rather than validated experimentation. So it's just a process of hijacking it. But if you understand that the first step is actually to have a phenomena to study, why is that happening? And if the answer is, well, a man made it, then that's the end of the process. Or to put it another way, natural science deals with, as it suggests, the natural world and all things that are occurring within. Occurring being the operative word, right? Something, a function, an operation, an occurrence, a phenomenon. These things mean something's actually happening. So that's step one. Why is that happening? If that's the question, then fine. Not will I have roast chicken for dinner? That's a question also, right? Not worthy of science. Why is that occurring in nature? That is. So it's specific. Step 1, what's occurring? So if nothing's occurring, then there's nothing to do science with. And that's often the case with pseudoscience. Invent a phenomena. Have it existing within maths. So if you can focus on that and have your first question be, what's actually happening and where does it happen? How can I see it happening? And when they go, oh, well, you don't actually get to see space-time bending. And you go, well, that's the end of that then. We're not going to be sciencing it then, are we?
I think on Tuesday, QE was saying he's thought about condensing it and doing the two, but he's decided he's going to do the whole thing. He's not condensing it, which is not probably a bad thing. But yeah, I'll be there Saturday.
I think it's the most important blade in the arsenal. So that is where this all begins. Understanding how the science works so that when you're confronted with bullshit that is claimed to be science, you can immediately dispense with it and move on to the actual logical consistency of their claim, rather than having to dive through the weeds of citations and claims that peer review is going to validate some point of view that they've got, and then they throw you some name and you don't know where you are. Whereas if you just know that, no, as soon as they start throwing their magic trick around and claiming they've got science, then, you'll realise the citations aren't worth anything. They're baseless assertions at face value. And if they're claiming science, they're going to need a natural phenomena. First thing they're going to need, that's the first thing you should be asking. What was the phenomena observed?
You're right. I think if the pink lettering comes out, I'll say that tongue in cheek, but actually it's one of the greatest skills. When you see the pink lettering come out, if you can just replicate what QE does and just fill in the blanks as they ramble at you, and it's the simplest thing to do is to take their bits that they're explaining and actually formulate it into a hypothesis for them.
You're excluded, Adam. Everyone else other than Adam on the panel, when the pink writing comes out, do you all appreciate what Adam's talking about when he says the pink writing on the G+ panel? Here's where we see who's run away from the panel.
Yes.
No Arwen, no Sleeping Warrior, no Eli, no 10th Man.
What? I'm here.
What?
Sorry. How dare we say 4 more hours and we're all lethargic today?
They'll run away to the shop.
No, we're just taking a break, man.
Okay,
4
pop
more
quiz.
hours.
Okay, no, it's okay. So pop quiz. When QE brings out the science bit with the pink writing and starts quizzing the opponent on their claim of science, what is, for 10 points, the first question asked by Quantum Eraser? Not you, Adam.
Oh, I don't know.
Ding, ding, ding. Eli for 10 points. Go ahead.
I don't know, because I haven't been following along.
That's a fail. Stop. Who
I
else?
assume?
Does that mean I get the 10 points?
Ding, 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 ding. Arwen for 10 points. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to ask, does that mean that I get the 10 points instead because he got it wrong?
No.
I'll take it.
We've got Righteous from the wings. Ooh, swooping in to get these 10 points. Go ahead, Righteous.
Natural observed phenomena, please.
Bingo. Do you want to repeat it just in case people didn't hear?
Oh, scientific
How come
method.
I couldn't answer that?
You could have.
I was
Natural observed phenomena is the first question.
Please. He's
or
very
he'll
polite.
say observe phenomena, please.
Yes.
Naturally observe phenomena.
Correct. First thing asked when you take them through the method. Observe natural phenomena, please.
Then, if you fill the rest of the sentence in, what I was making, there's probably another few points available. Neil, just test your buzzer, Neil. Test your buzzer. But if you fill, the point I was making was if you fill that sentence in from what they've said to you and read it back to them, it's often sufficient to destroy their argument there and then. What we've got to do is be And Nathan's the best that I saw at doing this and pulling it out of the rhetoric they give you is to just formulate the crap they give you using that method. And I say it's generally sufficient to win the argument.
I used to love that. Just listening back and hearing it, taking them through that. I loved it.
His ways, number one, it's the original, but it's better than my lazy version of not writing a damn thing down. Because what, as you rightly point out, QE actually has their words put down the moment they claim it. So they typically will do the old switcheroo. So they'll try and substitute in the effect, that's your dependent variable, for the cause, that's independent variable. So they'll swap them around. So by writing them down, they get to commit to their actual claim. Well, of course there's an effect called gravity. Excellent. So you write that down. That's your effect. Right. The effect's the dependent variable. And then normally the next thing QE would say was, we're halfway there then. All you need now is your presumed cause. So what's going to be the cause? So immediately they're tied down to what they're saying is the phenomena. So if you imagine a scenario where someone's talking about gravity and they're claiming it's an effect. All right. Well, let's write that down. Effect, gravity, dv, gravity. That's half your hypothesis. What's the cause of this effect? And then they start talking about calculations of 9.8 meters per second. You're like, hold on. No. We need something that we're going to physically vary and manipulate to cause this effect that we're not observing happen in nature. And so it goes on. Yeah, that's where you'll watch them substitute in their description for what they're claiming is the cause, and then they'll claim that the actual effect described is now the cause, and a description of that cause becomes the effect. But if it's all written down and having read back to them with it on screen for an audience means they're not in a position to do that anymore. Go on, whoever that was from Discord.
I'd like to put forth a scenario.
Shoot.
Okay, so in order to study the cause of the effect, you have to have a naturally observed phenomena. Let's say, like, okay, for example, someone say something?
I said that is the effect. You said in order to study an effect, you've got to have a natural phenomena. Well, no. The natural phenomena is the effect.
Okay, so let me put this forward. So in nature, people die. And so that's a naturally occurring phenomenon, people dying. But if you're like a young kid, like a young man, you've never seen anyone die or seen death. So if someone claims that there's a phenomenon observed called death where people are dying and you don't see it, how can you study it? Or like if there's an effect like that where people are claiming it, but you can't study it.
Yeah. The answer is you can't. So it's not a phenomena unless it's an observed phenomena, because you're going to be trying to cause that effect. So if you haven't observed the effect, that's why we ask, where do we observe this effect? Let's see this effect happening. So it's not a phenomena until it's an observed phenomena. So you're saying if I don't observe it, is it still a phenomena to study? Well, no. Does it mean it doesn't happen? It just means you haven't observed it happening. So how are you going to study the cause of it? It's not a phenomena until it's an observed phenomena.
So, but isn't there a logical fallacy there? Because a child could be like, oh, I don't see death, so I'm going to walk around like there's no death. And you can't, like, what would there has to be a fallacy there, like where there's like, oh, I just like appeal to authority. You're telling me there's death, but I don't see it. You know what I mean? I don't know how to like express what I'm trying to say. It's
an argument from ignorance fallacy employed.
Just because you don't know something, haven't been able to science something, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Especially, I mean, you're talking in a very vague term in terms of death, so it's hard to put that into a correct definition. But fundamentally, you're talking about because somebody's not experienced something, it not being real. That's not the claim. It's just you can't science it until you've experienced it. So it's an odd analogy to take, because to experience death kind of stops you sciencing stuff. You know what I mean? And it's an odd thing to want science. But I think the analogy you use is...
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, like in a ball... Sorry.
Not done, dude.
Go ahead. I think he's finished. Adam, that is. Go ahead.
So for a ball Earth claim, they could claim. I know that we don't see the effect of the Earth turning, but they could say, they could call a logical fallacy on you, can't they? They could say, oh, that's argument from ignorance fallacy because it has been observed, but you just haven't seen it.
Well, then you've got to show it me happening if you're going to claim it is happening. You can't say, I've seen it, but you haven't. Therefore, you denying that it happens is an argument from ignorance fallacy. No, you're claiming it does happen. Therefore, the burden is on you to prove that it does if you say it does. Not on me to disprove it or prove non-existence.
This comes to the next bit if we're talking science. It's repeatable. You know, it's no use one person claiming, yeah, I cheated death, honest, yeah. It's got to be repeatable, hasn't it?
When they said the sunset proves Earth is turning, what was our response to that, Nathan?
You're going to lead half of that?
Yeah, true. But also you're saying there's Earth rotation that causes that.
Right, it's a Coriolis claim in essence. I knew where you were going.
Well, I like your R answer really good.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Every opportunity I'm going to use it to. You guys do. Why can't I?
Yeah, exactly. So if they're saying, okay, every sunset proof that Earth is rotating, and it's a Coriolis point for them, then we're going to say, fantastic. So you're saying the drift of 15 degrees is due to Earth turning, and then we just go down that line and they die because they can't prove it with a helicopter. But then Neil deGrasse Tyson comes and says, well, we can with a football, and the Army sniper manual says you got to adjust for it. And now we got the anti-flat earthers against the globers, so they don't even know what they got.
No, because that would be a logical demonstration of the Coriolis. It wouldn't be science in it. If we've got Coriolis and we're going to science it, what have we got to vary? Prove it. The affects the rotation rate, so therefore we'd have to vary the number of degrees, isn't it? We're going to have to vary that, aren't we? And show that if we slow the rotation of the Earth, the net effect in Coriolis, you're not going to science that. Is the point I'm making?
Yeah, at the end, that's the point I was making.
Go on, Eric.
That's an example that that's an example that we've debunked. Like we can like debunk that, right? But like let's say there's something that's like science that's going on. Like I personally, or a lot of us can't see like an effect that we can't see. Like you guys are always talking about like the quantum experiment, the double slit or the diffraction. Like, okay, so you're saying that these naturally occurring phenomena are happening. I just have to listen to you to assume. I can't go and do this experiment to know that it's science. So can't I make a claim that like show me this, like show it me, you know, like how you say?
Yeah,
you
sure.
can't show it me because you don't have this stuff.
Feel free. No, this is the best thing you can do in terms of training yourself. Absolutely challenge us on the claims we've said are science. That's the best way to do it. So you're saying, okay, you say the double slit science, well, show me what's the first question you need to be asking? Phenomena? Well, that's diffraction. That's the phenomena being studied. Yeah, light diffracts. I did actually describe this earlier. So I said you can see this occurring in nature. If you just have some leaves overlapping, that can create a scenario where you can see a diffraction pattern behind that. So it is something that you can definitely observe in nature. Light does diffract. That is a phenomenon that therefore can be put through the scientific method. And they have established the cause of said diffraction. Right? In terms of... That's not even strictly true because it's one progression on from that. But the point is still the same. The phenomena that's being studied is light diffracting.
So I didn't feel that was the point being addressed there. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was being... I feel, if I can use an analogy, if we have the ballers say to us, pictures from space, we can't go and replicate that. I think the point that was being made is I can't go and do the double slit experiment, and we're not saying we've done it. Okay, I could go and do it. I could go and see it. I could observe it. I can watch it, and that's That's in reality, and I could go into a lab and do it and see it. Yeah, I haven't got the equipment, but if I was loaded, I could. Yeah, if I was loaded, I couldn't go into space. I couldn't go and violate second law. Yeah, that's, I think, the point that was being made. You can't do that. Well, you can if you put your mind to it. You can. You can write to the nearest university lab, and they'll let you in and see it. It does exist. It is provable. It is demonstrable. Might be a pain in the arse for you to validate it personally to yourself, but it can be done. And there's plenty.
It's not even a can be done with tens of millions.
Yeah.
You know, it's within a reasonable grasp of any common man to do a double slit. I've seen hobo double slits done.
Yeah, that is my point. But my like further point is, at what point do we have to take your word? Like, at what point do we take someone's word?
Never.
No,
so
never.
Repeatable. So Adam's already hinted at this already. Part of the method, what's the word? Dictates. Yeah, that's the right word. That there must be systematic experimentation. Well, the point of that is because if you have one guy who says, I assert X causes Y, and here's my experiment, and everyone goes, hooray! And then nobody cottons on to the fact that there wasn't a control kept under control, well, then that's bad. So therefore, it needs to be done again and again and again and again by different parties so that it's validated in a systematic manner. And then you say, after it's been done in a systematic manner, yeah, this is definitely the cause of that effect. When it's repeatable, when it happens every single time.
That's why I love it, because I never have to take anybody's answer. I never have to rely on man. You can do it yourself.
Exactly. So if you questioned it, good. Then you're getting into the science of it. You're saying, really? Does it really happen every single time? Well, you can find out for yourself. You've got the hypothesis, you've got the independent variable, you've got the phenomena, and you've seen it happening in nature. Now go forth and see if you can cause it. You did. So you're part of that science now. You're part of the systematic experimentation because you validated it also. But however, if you invalidated it, suddenly the law of non-contradiction steps in and says, hang on, if all these people say A causes B and you say A does not cause B, then we've got a problem. We're going to have a closer look at this. And that often does happen in the systematic experimentation stage. There's going to be something awry, right? But that's prior to it being reported, prior to it actually being published. That's the science bit. Actually publishing it? No, the validation bit is the science bit. The actualization. Well, yep, there's going to be issues along that path as well. Nobody ever said it was easy.
Nathan, it kind of reminds me of Bob from JPL telling the three guys across the pond, trust me, I got it. This is what it is. And they did not do anything to validate what Bob and JPL told them.
Yeah, he sees some fuzz in a time code that matches up with his claim of a heliocentric time code when sending out information to bounce off Venus and then come back to Earth. And in that time period that the heliocentric model based on R gives him, he says, at that time that it should be returning, here's the return signal. There it is in the fuzz. And the people around him go, really? He goes, yeah. And they go, I don't think so. And then according to what the documentation states, he spends a considerable amount of time trying to convince them that he sees it. And after some convincing, they agree with him. And then they publish it. Good old Jodrell Bank. Was it Jodrell Bank?
Wasn't it? I mean, just in part of what we've just described with regards to science, does that sound like science, Discord?
No.
I think he's asking. No. He's asking Eric. I love it.
Sorry, I'm just busy right now. Sorry.
That's okay.
You're going to need R for that.
No, it doesn't sound like science, Adam. It sounds like somebody from the States coming along and imposing a heliocentric presupposition on a load of fuzzy noise that they're reading at a certain time and saying that that's a return signal and then spending time to convince somebody that that's actually the case and them going, Dunno. Maybe. Okay. That's what that is.
Go on then, because it validates our presupposition anyway, so why the hell not?
Yeah, now that's better said, because from the story I recall hearing, they were arguing with them saying, well, you know, the way we look at it, it doesn't validate it. And then, of course, the presupposition won at the end.
Yeah, that was the no to the maybe stage. Doesn't sound like science, though, Adam, in answer to your question. No, it doesn't sound like hypothesis-based systematic experimentation to prove the cause and effect noticed in nature at all. No, definitely not.
If we were replaying Riley's thing and he put the salt in and all of us went, nah, the egg didn't move. Yeah. But then suddenly someone came along, and even though we'd observed, and you know, we were part of it, we didn't see the egg move. But after considerable amount of time convincing us, we went, oh yeah, we did see the egg move. Yeah. Well, that thing that we thought wasn't the egg moving was actually probably the egg moving. Is that science?
No. Likewise, if you get a mathematical chart of the rate of acceleration and then deceleration of the egg when it reaches buoyancy, or neutrality rather, you could plot that on a graph and then impose that at a certain point what you're seeing is the interaction of a magical unicorn force that you're saying is imposing itself in that graph, you know, that upward then downward graph of it accelerating then decelerating. You can say my magical unicorn force comes in at this particular part of that particular arc, right? And you can describe it in great detail. And when someone says, no, that's just it moving up and then slowing down again, and you go, no, I don't believe you, and then they spend 2 days convincing you. Then at the end you go, okay, magical unicorn force in the middle of the arc that you described mathematically after plotting out the egg's movement. You know, why not? Call it a geodesic. Bob's your uncle.
At least you'd had the arc in their return signal. There's nothing there to discuss. There's just the Emperor's New Clothes fallacy. He is dressed, honestly, and look how fine and splendid his return signal is.
A fine, healthy, strong return signal. You people are amateurs. Don't you see it?
We didn't see such a fantastic return signal before.
Oh, we see it looking like that all the time over in the States, over at NASA, JPL.
I think with the egg analogy, Adam, if you can't see it, it would be a good reason to exit the experiment. No one wants to beat it?
I think everyone's extinct.
I was struggling. My head was just scrambled.
They gotta know when they're whipped.
You're a proper existentialist.
Oh, there are too many. I'm overheating. This is getting exothermic in here.
That's a great started the show and ended the show.
The 10th man. What does it boil down to?
What does it boil down to? Right, okay. Over easy, you lot.
Oh, it's so much fun, isn't it?
I think that's enough yolks about eggs.
Go on, Adam. Keep it coming. Don't stop at 2. Give me a dozen.
We'll break through his outer shell soon. We'll get to these puns.
Can someone stir up the conversation, please?
Sorry, you were a bit scrambled. Can you say that again?
Can someone please stir up the conversation, please?
I got it, Nathan.
I got it too. I added to it. Right, only official pun makers now from now on, please.
Yeah, the rest of you can shell out.
Oh, what fun.
Nathan, did you have an egg espresso this morning?
I did. My birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday for tomorrow, man.
Happy birthday.
I was asking Paula in the chat yesterday, I was like, should I do the show on my birthday? I'm my own boss, right? I can do what I want. She said, I think you should do what you want to do, what you would like to do. And I was like, I really like doing my show. So I'm going to do my show. It's my choice.
Happy birthday, Nathan.
Oh, thank you, Boris.
Yeah,
tomorrow,
I think by doing the show tomorrow, that's very exquisite of you.
Oh, thank you.
What I miss?
Hey, Sleeping Warrior. Was that Sleeping Warrior?
What did I miss? I missed everything then. Someone knocked at the door and I missed it all.
Oh, we were mostly making puns at the egg experiment that you did.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you get to listen back tomorrow. Technically, when people are listening back, it will actually be my birthday, I suppose. So
this will kill you, Anthony, because you missed us doing a comparison between the egg experiment and the rebound at Jodrell Bank. Like two things.
Yeah, you know, it annoys me how the distance to the sun argument never gets understood or accepted by those people. They ignore it. They ignore that it's correlative only at best. They're not agreeing on the results, and it just drives me nuts that they just ignore it. But if you can't agree terms with these people, what's the point in talking to them?
Yeah, leave it to Globers to always keep the sunny side up.
Hold on, I have to raise you up a bit. Whatever your name is, Coach something or other. Say that again. Something. Oh. Casho. Hello.
That's Kosho.
Kosho. Oh, very good. Didn't catch what you said.
Sunny side up, something like that.
I was going to say, sounds like Kosho.
Alrighty then.
Well, I think the best day for egg puns would be Friday.
Friday. Did you guys catch in the war room that link I put about the guy that was getting all the gags for his nicknames for his workmates? Did you see that?
No.
Yeah.
What was his name?
They were talking about different nicknames for different people, like Meekin might be String Bean because he's tall and skinny or whatever. One of the guys, the funniest one I heard him say was his name was, they called him Keith or Kef. And they called him Kef because it took him a while to work out why they called him Kef. It was because he didn't have an eye. He was missing one eye. So they called him Keith. Instead of Keith, they called him Kef. And I just thought it was hilarious. I was laughing. So I watched it again and started laughing more. And then I watched it a third time. And the more I watched it, the more funnier it got. It was brilliant, some of the nicknames that they've got.
My favourite was the bloke they called the clock. Because he had one big hand and one small hand.
It was like Jeremy Beadle, wasn't he? Because of what did Jeremy Beadle have? Yeah. Was it cerebral palsy or something like that? And he had one big hand and one little hand, so he would have been called the clock.
I'm really not following. I don't really understand. This just sounds like people being mean.
Yeah, they were nicknames between friends. One guy, he basically had one leg shorter than the other leg, so when he walked, he had a wobble with his head, and they called him the sniper's nightmare because he could never get a headshot because his head was always moving. But there were other nicknames that they got.
That's funny.
Oh man, it's in the war room, man. You should watch it. It's hilarious. But I thought the best one was Keith because he had no eye. And Kev.
Very good.
So, Kosho, if we can't agree terms, how can we have conversations with you guys when you have these views that you have?
You know, funny name for that guy with the wobble leg. You'd call him the Foucault's pendulum because he's processing his walk.
He's going around in circles.
Why does the pendulum process?
something like that. Happy birthday, Nathan.
What was that? Did you say because the Earth turns underneath it then, Kosho?
He didn't know. Why is it
Oh,
claimed?
I said happy birthday, Nathan.
Thank you. So why is it claimed the pendulum precesses?
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm really sure a few years ago. I've even had you correct me on how I pronounce it. I always say it's Foucault's pendulum, but you always correct me and say it's Foucault's.
He's not
But
stupid.
you sounded like you.
He knows the traps
You,
here.
you sounded like you were very knowledgeable on the subject, Kosho. Have you regressed and gone backwards a little bit?
That's a lie. He never sounded knowledgeable
Foucault
on
we
the
talking
subject.
about? Michel Foucault?
Yeah.
Pendulum by Foucault's, Foucault's, I think you pronounce it. Why does it precess?
I know he's a French dude, so you know.
So this is now
there's quite a
descended.
few.
Hold
He
on.
knows he's
Quick
defeated.
summary. So, summary of what's just happened. Foucault pendulums come up. We've asked why it's claimed it precesses. The claim from the globe side is that there's two reference frames. It's a claim of Coriolis drift and not actual deflection. Pendulums do not precess. They move back and forth. That's their inherent property. It's claimed to appear to precess because it's claimed Earth's turning beneath in a second reference frame. It's drift, Coriolis drift. That's what's claimed by the globe. The problem with that is that requires two reference frames, and currently, right, we've got this guy called Blue Marble. Yeah. And he's made it explicitly clear that there's only one reference frame. You know, absolutely annihilating Foucault and Neil deGrasse Tyson and all the bullshit claims from the globe that snipers have to track their targets. I mean, he's literally annihilated the whole lot. That's Blue Marble. Just a complete train wreck of a man.
Blue Marble, he's like a father to me.
Like a father?
He's a real great guy.
You are funny.
That was brilliant.
Can you remember exactly what he said about the reference frames?
Said there's only one. On a quote, one reference frame, end quote, Blue Marble. On another quote, Earth does not rotate underneath, end quote. Footballs and snipers and pendulums and gyros. That's what Blue Marble says. Earth does not rotate underneath, end quote, Blue Marble. So where Foucault says Earth rotates underneath pendulums, Blue Marble's absolutely took a giant steaming shit on Foucault's claim now, hasn't he, Kosho? Maybe you could acknowledge that you need two reference frames for Foucault, because obviously the moment you do, you confirm how stupid Blue is, and then we'll move on to the two reference frames and what that would cause in reality if it were true.
Well, I know Blue. He's a good friend of mine. We go way back, and I do remember having a conversation one time about Coriolis and what it claims. And I think Coriolis is simply put an object moving along the surface of a rotating body as observed from that rotating reference frame. And I think that if he had said that it only involves one reference frame, there's only one reference frame that's needed, I wouldn't say that's incorrect, because there's only one reference frame involved in the definition.
No, that's incorrect. There's two reference frames.
Just say that again about moving along the surface. What did you say that he said?
An object moving along the surface of a rotating body.
No, that's not Coriolis effect.
As observed.
That's not Coriolis effect. If he said that, he just doesn't understand Coriolis and it's thick, because it has to be separate. And in the inertial reference frame, for you to observe it seem to drift as you turn beneath it. That's two reference frames, so number one, Blue Marble's still wrong when he says there's only one reference frame, and your description of an item moving along the rotating reference frame isn't separate from the reference frame. So if it's moving with it, you're not going to see it seem to drift because you turn beneath it. So that's not Coriolis either, Kosho. If he told you that, like a father, oh man, he's leading you badly astray because he doesn't understand what Coriolis effect is if he's describing things moving along a rotating platform. No. Separate to as you rotate beneath to see the effect of it seem to drift as you rotate beneath it. That's Coriolis, mate. Didn't you know that? Of course you didn't. You speak to Blue. He's an idiot. He thinks there's only one reference frame. Quote, one reference frame. Another quote, Kosho, Earth does not rotate underneath, end quote. So, what do you want?
No wonder you never progressed.
There
past
wouldn't
this
be an
point.
effect if there was only one reference frame.
That's right. That's right. There wouldn't be any effect. That's what Blue Marble's saying. No effect to see. Hot air balloons don't have Earth turning beneath them. There's only one reference frame. Earth does not turn underneath. Footballs to win you a game, like NDT says, or snipers' bullets, as is claimed, is in the handbook. Right? Or pendulums, as Foucault claims. Yeah, he says one reference frame, Earth does not turn underneath. It's a big problem for the globe believers and the anti-flat earthers, of which Blue is one.
Is he anti-flat Earth? I know that. I remember the conversation with him though, and like I said, I do remember him saying the thing about the rotating reference frame. I do also remember him saying that if there is a rotating reference frame, that certainly implies that there's a reference frame that's not rotating.
Well, that'd be two reference frames then.
Describe it.
That's two.
It's obvious.
That's two. It's two. No, he can't have said that. He said there's only one. He made that explicitly clear. One reference frame, end quote.
I think he meant only one relative reference frame.
I don't give a shit what you think he meant, you dumb fuck. You think he meant? Oh yeah, I get that too. If I say I want to debate someone will take that to mean I'm running away. I know that you will take it to mean something he didn't actually say or didn't mean, but that's okay. He didn't say that or mean that when he said, quote, one reference frame, because you've just described two. So if you're going to take what he said to you, as opposed to publicly, about me, when he said one reference frame, to mean anything other than, quote, one reference frame, then you're stupid. Don't take it to mean anything other than what he's actually said.
I mean, it was public. It was on Brennan Toy Show maybe 2 weeks ago.
What was? Him saying two reference frames?
No, him saying, because a couple of us said it, that the rotating reference frame is the relevant reference frame that was being talked about, and the inertial reference frame is the obvious, you don't need to speak about it because if there's a rotating
the inertial reference frame.
The
rotating reference frame is non-inertial, and you're saying the important reference frame to talk about would be the inertial reference frame. Well, that's not the rotating. You talking through me, Fundy?
It's implied.
Scared?
It's not important.
Scared? Yeah, I'll finish this sentence if you don't mind. You just said that the important reference frame to focus on would be the inertial reference frame. Well, that's not the rotating reference frame. That's a different...
I'd say that.
Yeah. Do you want to... You scared? I'm not going to get to the end of this sentence. Third attempt. Kosho's now terrified because this is humiliating for Blue Marble and him, who are in opposition. Kosho understands, as is detailed, when he had a very embarrassing time explaining how winds travel straight but seem to curve because you turn beneath them, after presenting a very clear definition of what Coriolis is, I might add. So he's on the globe side. Kosho's on the globe side. Blue Marble claims one reference frame. Now Kosho saying the inertial reference frame... Hold on. Blue Marble says only non-inertial. Did you not know he specifically stated only a non-inertial reference frame also? That's also me paraphrasing him. I can't dig out the exact verbatim quote. But to paraphrase Blue, only non-inertial. So you're in stark contrast to his position there, Kosho, because you're saying also inertial. That's the second reference frame. Again, quote, one reference frame, Blue Marble. Are you going to square this circle between you, the globe believer, and Blue Marble, the anti-flat earther? Do you want me to moderate this? I'm totally impartial. I don't give a shit and don't need reference frames because I'm a flat earther. You need there to be two. You've just detailed the second one, inertial. Blue Marble specifically stated only non-inertial, one reference frame. So I'd like to set up a debate between you and Blue Marble, please, Kosho. When can this be made to happen?
Yeah, I'm really sorry for interrupting you, Nathan.
Don't apologise. Tell me when you can set up a debate between you and Blue Marble that I will moderate, because I am absolutely unbiased in this situation. I don't need reference frames and don't care. You two have got different positions, though. When are you going to set this up?
Yeah, I tried to interrupt you because you had incorrectly stated what I said.
No, it didn't. You told me the inertial reference frame was the one that we'd focus on. That's a second reference frame to the singular only reference frame that Blue Marble claimed when he specifically said only non-inertial. You've detailed a second one. That's a contradiction to his very specific point that there's only non-inertial. So not inertial, the important one you said about Kosho. Don't try and lie. You've got a differing position. You've got two. He's got one.
You're spending a lot of time not saying very much, Nathan.
I just said quite a significant chunk about you having two reference frames. Inertial being the second one to Blue's only non-inertial, according to him. Well, that's a contradictory point that you and him hold. I don't have a horse in this race because I don't need reference frames to claim spin or non-spin, but spin that we don't observe. So this is a problem between you and Blue Marble. You've got 2 reference frames. The important one is the inertial, right, Kosho?
Can you hear me all right, Nathan?
Is the important one the inertial, like you just said? You're not going to repeat what you just said?
I didn't say it. I tried to correct you at least 4 times now.
So you didn't...
I did not say that.
You didn't mention the inertial reference frame. I'm not going to trim this out and embarrass you.
Because it's implied by the fact that there's a rotating reference frame.
Sorry, what about
Meaning you don't have to bring up the one that is not involved in the observation.
Sorry, not involved in the observation.
Yeah,
not involved in the observation, but what about the projectile?
Well, the Coriolis effect is the observation.
Yeah. Observation of a projectile in an what reference frame?
Moving along the rotating body, the surface of a rotating body.
No, that's incorrect. We already covered that, you thick fuck. Hello, you thick fuck. You don't understand what Coriolis is. Sorry, do winds move along the surface of a rotating platform to appear to move straight? That's what you've said. Got you on record. So you now think winds move along the surface of the ground like snails? No, you just double-speaking your way around this problem you've got, Kosho, you lying shit. So no, not moving along a rotating platform in the second inertial frame of reference, Kosho, right? The important one you're now denying. You said.
I feel like you're having a hard time hearing what I'm saying.
Oh, I feel like you're deaf too.
I said the Coriolis effect is something moving along the surface of a rotating body as viewed from the rotating reference frame. Case closed. Period.
As viewed from. So is the thing being viewed in the same reference frame it's viewed from?
It's moving along the surface of a rotating body, and it's being viewed from the rotating body.
That's not answering me. It's not answering me. Dodge number 2. Dodge number 2. So the thing being observed is the projectile moving in the non-inertial reference frame, yes or no? Let's see how he squirms for a third time.
Yeah, as viewed from the non... From
not
the,
viewed from.
Non-inertial.
No. Not viewed from.
Frame, that's right.
So 4th time's a charm. Not viewed from. Moving in. Do you not understand the difference? I can explain, because you're obviously dodging and squirming. You want it a 4th time?
Go ahead and tell me what the difference is. What you
stutter for me? There it is.
Object is moving.
There it is, bitch.
Frame.
There it is.
If you're
sorry, do you need it a 4th time, Fundy? Chant through me, bitch. Yeah, squirm. Yeah, we all know how fucked you are, Kosho. Do you want it a 4th time?
No, I mean, you might just want to listen. I mean, I don't know if you're having...
I listen to you stuttering little bitch telling me how it's observed. I'm asking where the projectile moves. Does the projectile move in the same reference frame as it is observed from? Yes or no?
Well, that's a strange question because it can...
Oh, really? Because it would involve you saying that there's a second reference frame. Pissing in Blue Marble's face now. Yeah, it would be a strange question. Very awkward question for you who's claimed there's inertial reference frames. What was the inertial reference frame you mentioned?
I'm not sure if you understand this.
You're not sure if you remember mentioning the inertial reference frame where this began and you started obfuscating. I do. You mentioned an inertial reference frame.
The Coriolis effect is viewing it from the rotating reference frame.
Viewing what?
Specifically.
Viewing what?
The body moving.
The body moving? What? The body of air? And what's that moving?
No, whatever it is, the object that you're talking about. That's explaining Coriolis.
Okay. Let's talk our way through it. So we're observing something moving. And you're observing it from a non-inertial reference frame, the single reference frame Blue Marble claims. Okay.
Right.
That's where it's going to be observed from. Yeah, you do need to Fundy mute this concise summary.
I thought you were asking me a question.
Yeah, coward. Keep Fundy muting me, coward. That's right. Yeah, you know how fucked you are too. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So we're going to now talk our way... Yeah, Fundy mute every fucking word of me, bitch, and I will kick you out. So I'll try again. 5th attempt. How long? I give it 5 seconds before he Fundy mutes the shit out of this 5th attempt. So now we're going to talk our way through your description. We're going to be observing the effect of a projectile's motion from a non-inertial single reference frame as described by Blue Marble. So, my question for the 5th time. The movement of the projectile, its actual trajectory, is that the same as the observation reference frame, yes or no?
Okay, I'm going to make sure it's safe to answer because last time I tried answering this, you accused me of funny muting you. But, right, Nathan. So the path of the object is going to be the same path in, if you're not talking about the reference frames, it's just the path of the object.
I am talking about the reference frames, bitch. I'm asking if the projectile moves through the inertial reference frame.
I'm talking about observing the...
I'm not asking about the observation. I'm asking about the projectile's trajectory. I made that specifically clear. He's a bitch.
Nathan, I'm answering your question, but...
Oh, right, by telling me about the observation of the projectile again for the 5th time. So,
yeah, but don't tell me off.
Meanwhile, Earth is claimed to turn beneath things at 15 degrees an hour. This obfuscating bitch isn't going to get half a dozen attempts to obfuscate away from the fact that the claim requires 2 reference frames. The projectile's going to be in the inertial reference frame, the one he said was important, and then simultaneously didn't matter a minute later when he realised that he's confessed to having 2 reference frames. Inertial, where the projectile moves through like a ball moving straight over a roundabout. The ball moves straight over the top, and you observe it seem to drift because you turn underneath on a 2nd reference frame. Yeah? So 2. The ball's in the inertial reference frame. You're observing it from the non-inertial. That's 2.
Are you interested in the answer, Nathan? Because
I just gave the answer. I didn't ask a question. What do you think I need you to obfuscate it for the 5th time and claim I'm fundy muting you?
Well, you did.
Oh, right. You do need to talk about how fundy muting's gone down when I describe how Earth's claimed to turn underneath objects to cause drift as you observe them from a non-inertial turning reference frame, turning beneath them, in the same way Foucault claims Earth turns underneath a pendulum. Well, the pendulum moves back and forth, Earth's claimed to turn underneath, so you see it appear to drift. Well, that's 2 reference frames. Blue says there's only 1, you say there's 2, and now you need to squirm your way around that and talk about the fundy muting situation as you talk through every word of my 5 renditions of the same point, which is, where's the projectile moving? Which reference frame does the projectile move in? And he keeps telling me about where it's observed from. Yeah, might have worked 3 years ago if your name was Zanuck. Now it's just you getting pummeled, Kosho.
Well, Nathan, if you actually allow me to answer in 10 seconds...
Didn't ask a question. I summarised that if Earth was turning beneath shit, we'd see it drift. That requires 2 reference frames. I gave details of a ball seeming to drift as you turn beneath it on a 2nd non-inertial reference frame. The ball travelling through an inertial reference frame. You observing it seem to drift. That's a succinct summary of Coriolis effect. Something we don't see on Earth because we're not turning beneath anything. And Blue Marble says the reason we don't see it is because 1 reference frame. You've got 2. He's got 1. That's your problem. Ding, 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 showdown. Not my problem. I haven't asked you anything. I've pummeled you.
Well, it is your birthday, Nathan. You deserve it, man.
Yeah, let's talk about my birthday. Happy birthday to me for tomorrow. There is no Earth turn. There's claimed to be drift observable as we turn beneath stuff, and when we point out there isn't, we're told there's only 1 reference frame, even though that annihilates the claim that there's 2.
No, Nathan, the object is moving, and that has nothing to do with the observation.
What reference frame is it moving in?
The observation is going to...
What reference is it moving in? What reference frame is the object moving in? 6 times.
It's moving in infinite reference frames. That's not...
Oh, so not just 1?
Yeah, the question...
Sorry, Blue Marble made it specifically clear, only 1 reference frame. You're saying now infinite. Wow, that seems like a really Weasley way to also drop Blue in the shit when he said there's specifically only 1. So more than 1 then. No, for Coriolis it just needs inertial and non-inertial, and Blue says there's only non-inertial. You say we've got a ball seeming to drift because it's moving in the inertial reference frame. You're just a bit scared to say it. When I ask which reference frame the ball moves in, or the projectile moves in. I'll ask a 7th time, Kosho. See if you fundy mute the question being put to you. Which reference frame does the projectile, not the observation of the projectile, just get that in because you've done it 6 times. Which reference frame does the projectile move in? Kosho?
You're having a hard time with this, Nathan.
Yeah, I surely am. That's why you need to point out how hard a time I'm having of you answering this question. You've had 7 times. It's really me struggling.
Observation that's describing Coriolis, that you get that rotating path, is observed from the rotating frame.
And which path does the projectile travel through? Does that travel in the inertial reference frame? I specifically said I didn't want the observation, and you've given me the observation again, you little weasel. Yeah, meanwhile, Earth isn't turning beneath anything. We'd see drift, and we don't. So I'd like to know when Kosho's going to go up against Blue Marble. That would be fascinating. Because Kosho needs 2 reference frames. Inertial for the travelling bullet and non-inertial to observe it from. And the effect is going to be it not actually drifting, just seeming to because you turn beneath. Well, for it to seem to drift, it means it's got to be doing something it isn't. Induced by a second reference frame. Blue Marble says 1 reference frame. Kosho says now infinite reference frame, rather than just conceding that the bullet travels through the inertial reference frame. Just has to take 7 attempts to say it's observed from the only reference frame that me and Blue agree on. What a coward. 7 attempts, you fundy bitch.
Nathan, I severely doubt that you understand what a reference frame is.
That's an ad hominem fallacy. Meanwhile, Earth isn't turning underneath hot air balloons. It's claimed to turn under pendulums, 2 reference frames to see drift under a pendulum. It's claimed to turn under snipers' bullets. But Blue Marble says not turning under hot air balloons, 1 reference frame. Big problem for you, Kosho. When's the showdown?
The reference frame is not about where the ball is moving.
Well, you need to tell this to Blue Marble, because he's got a marble claim of 1.
It has nothing to do. It's not moving in one reference frame and being observed from a different one.
Oh, really? So the ball isn't moving in an inertial reference frame? You're saying, let's get it on record.
Observing something.
Don't tell me what we're observing. You're saying it's not observed from one reference frame doing something in another. That was your last statement. Yeah, it is. You don't understand Coriolis, Dumbo. That's exactly what it is.
What a reference frame is.
Don't tell me what a reference frame is. Your statement, it's not observing something seem to do something in a different reference frame. That was your last statement. That's wrong. You're thick. Somebody get Kosho's own citation. Do you want your own citation read back to you, shithead? You're wrong. Hello, shithead. You're wrong. You've given us a citation that contradicts that last statement, dickhead. Got your tongue, shit for brains.
Giving you. What are you talking about?
You contradicted one of your statements. You said it's not observing an effect from a different reference frame. That was your last statement.
No, I told you that an observation is taking place in reference frames. An object moving.
Reference frames? Plural? 2 of them, then.
Reference frames.
2 of them.
This is why it's confusing what you're asking.
Sorry, you just said reference frames. That would be 2. Cat got your tongue, Kosho. Frames.
Do you understand what's being said?
So ask me what I understand. I understand you just said reference frames, plural, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to explain to you what a reference frame is. I still think you don't understand.
So why do I need to know? Are we going to be detailing 1 or 2 of them with Coriolis?
Well, first we have to describe what a reference frame is so that when I use the word, it doesn't trigger you.
Okay. And have we got 2 or 1 in Coriolis effect?
The Coriolis effect is describing an observation from one reference frame.
An observation from yes, you've said 7 or 8 times, Kosho, that it's an observation. I'll concede, so you don't say it again. I understand, Kosho, contrary to your constant ad hominem attacks, that you are describing accurately how Coriolis is an effect observed from 1 reference frame. However, for the effect to be induced, does there have to be a path in a different reference frame or not?
Well, a rotating reference frame, as I said at the beginning, implies that there's a non-rotating reference frame.
Oh, inertial. And is non-rotating inertial?
Yeah, the non-rotating one is the inertial one. That's right.
So that's the second one, separate from the non-inertial rotating reference frame. Then, so that's the second reference frame.
Yeah, but what Blue is saying.
So, yeah. Don't tell me what Blue is saying when you concede. Yeah, that's all I need. Thank you very much, Kosho. So plural, 2 reference frames.
There's more than 2. There's a.
Don't tell me about what there is more than when you've just got to your little 2 reference frames, inertial and non-inertial in Coriolis. There could be infinite. But for Coriolis to be observed, we need the projectile in the inertial reference frame, and we need us to observe it from the non-inertial, don't we?
Oh, again, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, chuckle it up, fun boy. You've already conceded 2 reference frames twice. Once when you told me how important the inertial reference frame was and then denied it, and now you've confirmed again with quite a lot of obfuscation 8 attempts to confirm the second inertial reference frame. That's right, Kosho. Don't now bart on about how many there are in other scenarios when Coriolis needs 2, inertial and non-inertial, as you've just confirmed.
You can lie about my statement, Nathan.
We got your shithead citation for your lie.
You don't observe
it's all right,
things in 2 reference frames.
Kosho, we got your Kosho, we got your citation. 2 reference frames, right? You understand that now, and us pointing out your own bloody position's not going to be obfuscated. 2 reference frames, right, for Coriolis, inertial and non-inertial. We'll get there in the end, Kosho. This is the 9th attempt. Nice, clear summary of you saying yes is all I need.
I mean, you'll be here for years, Nathan.
Why? Because Blue's saying something different and you've already conceded it twice? Yeah, I know I'll be here for years with you obfuscating around this problem you and Blue have. I know. It's fun, though, for me.
Not a problem.
Not a problem for you to have 2 reference frames. Yeah, I'll point out the problem, given you've just conceded you need reference frames, plural, 2 of them, inertial and non-inertial. Blue has specifically stated only non-inertial reference frame, Kosho. Completely pissing in the face of you with your plural reference frames too, and inertial and non-inertial being described for this effect. Now, that's very much in contradiction to Blue. Didn't you realise that, Thicko?
Nathan, do you need the lie to kick it? Because I didn't say you need 2 reference frames. I specifically said you do not need 2 reference frames.
So you can observe not actual deflection with a bullet travelling in the non-inertial reference frame.
The only one relative...
So he's not going to answer me. He's going to start telling me what's relative.
The only one that's relevant...
Rel. Yeah. You need 2 reference frames for a Coriolis effect, Kosho. We've got your shithead reference. Hello? Do you not remember us giving us a citation, you stupid shit? 2 reference frames, shit for brains. Why are you now lying about the reference that you gave us, the citation you gave us, detailing 2 reference frames? Why are you lying? Kosho's a liar. Saying you don't need 2 reference frames.
I mean, do you understand what's being...
Why are you stuttering about your lie?
Nathan,
Coriolis requires 2 reference frames. Got citations from you describing it, Kosho. You don't need to lie and talk through me. You're lying shit.
It's that simple.
Sorry, 2 reference frames. That's what you've got described in your reference. You lying little bitch. Tell me you don't need 2 for Coriolis again, you lying little fundy bitch. Lie for Blue. By the way, this lie you're now telling, Kosho, serious news for you. The lie you're now telling is going to get you removed permanently. You lying bastard. So keep lying for Blue a few more times while you still can, telling me you don't need 2 reference frames, plural, 2 of them, inertial, non-inertial. Tell us again that you don't need them for the balls up that Blue has made. Lie some more for me. You're never coming back, you lying bastard. Just like Rumpus and all the rest of the liars. You're a lying scumbag, Kosho. Don't lie to us about not needing 2 when you've provided citation that says you do. Lying bastard.
You might be right, Nathan. Would you mind?
I am like you lying fuck. You'll never return here, another lying bastard. You're only here to lie to my audience to defend Blue. What have you got to say for yourself, you lying bastard?
I'm just curious about the citation. I was wondering if you could read it for me so I can recount my lies.
The reference frames 2 plural thereof in your citation you need reading back for me to validate your lie.
If you could, that'd be nice. That way you can embarrass me in front of everybody.
Oh, sure.
I'm spotting something. He's saying there's infinite reference frames. Blue Marble saying there's 1. That's a contradiction already, and he's not even admitting that.
Because what was said, Tethman, was that ultimately there's as many reference frames as you want. In the Coriolis force, the specific force, there's only 1 relevant reference frame.
Hang on. If there's more than 1, how come he's saying there's only 1?
Well, that's the part I was getting to, and you told me to hold on. Is in the Coriolis force specifically, not ultimately, but in the Coriolis force specifically, it's only referencing 1 reference frame, the one that's rotating.
Define it. What is the Coriolis force? Is it an actual force?
The Coriolis force, it's an object moving along a rotating object as viewed from the rotating reference frame.
Is it an actual force?
Well, it's a fictitious force or pseudo force, which is an actual force. Yeah.
So it's not an actual, right? It's not actual deflection.
Oh, it is a force, but it's reference frame dependent. Pseudo forces are reference frame dependent.
Which reference frame isn't? So let me get it straight. If you're in the inertial reference frame, you won't see it.
You see it traveling in a straight path.
So in the second reference frame, it travels in a straight path.
No, in some other reference...
Some other frame. No, it's just a fucking lying cunt. You're never returning here, Kosho. Hope you understand that. Travels straight in the inertial reference frame. Seems to curve from the non-inertial. So when viewed, it seems to curve if you're on a roundabout beneath a ball. That's the first reference frame. Travels straight as admitted from Kosho in the inertial reference frame. Now that he's admitted it moves straight, that would be through the inertial reference frame, Kosho, the second one that Blue doesn't have. Herein lies your problem. You've now got an opportunity to actually return here and redeem your lying fuck nature on screen highlighted from ThoughtCo. About the 2 reference frame, Earth's surface, the Earth moves east underneath the object at a faster speed. Yeah, underneath the object. Kosho, Blue Marble, quote, Earth does not rotate underneath. 1 reference frame, that's Blue Marble. Your citation. Moves east under the object. That's 2 reference frames. Now you lying little fuck. When are we going to see you and Blue Marble square off about this problem with you having objects observable moving straight from an inertial reference frame and capable of seen to drift from non-inertial reference frames? That's 2, Kosho. Can you count them, fuckwit? Moving straight inertial, not moving straight non-inertial. That's 2, you complete fuckwit. Can you count, Kosho? That's 2. That's 10 attempts, but we got there in the end, didn't we, fuckwit? You've got 2. One where the ball moves straight, inertial, like you just admitted, after a lot of hargy-bargy, and one where it seems to curve, the one it's being viewed from to describe Coriolis. That's 2. Can you count, Kosho? Now, we've got the 2 that you've got, pegged down, inertial, non-inertial. They're both yours, Kosho, not mine. Let's make that clear. Your citation is on screen with your 2 reference frames and your bullshit globe belief that Earth turns underneath. Blue Marble, by contrast, says, and I quote, Earth does not turn underneath. 1 reference frame. Only 1, Kosho. You understand that he's only got 1 and you've got 2 now?
I think that's very beautiful that you read that, Nathan, because what you just did was compared the reference frames. 1 where Coriolis is occurring and 1 where it's not.
Yeah, that would make 2. And for the effect to be induced, you need to see the effect being induced in the second non-inertial reference frame turning beneath the inertial and know what Coriolis is. It needs 2. And you've detailed it. Because you're on the globe side, Kosho, I already put you into the category. I know where you stand, 2 reference frames. But you're just in stark contrast to a very explicit claim from Blue Marble that there's only 1.
Nathan, in the thing you just read, all it did was compare when Coriolis is occurring and...
Kosho, what Coriolis is occurring when Blue Marble describes it isn't any. None to observe, no effect, Earth not turning underneath. Do you understand, shit for brains? You're saying the effect described here is just merely the effect of Earth turning underneath, as I've highlighted it, describing the second reference frame turning underneath the first. Yeah, I understand your claim. You've got 2 reference frames. A claim that Earth turns underneath hot air balloons, footballs, pendulums, bullets, aeroplanes shortening flight times, all these things that we don't observe actually happening. That's what you believe as a globe believer with 2 reference frames. One that's observable with things moving in a straight path, and one that's you turning underneath them. We understand your claim, Kosho, 2 reference frames. The problem is Blue Marble's only got 1, and he's made that explicitly clear. Now, do you understand that Blue's got 1? Only 1 reference frame, end quote, Blue Marble. Earth does not turn underneath, end quote, Blue Marble. 1 reference frame, end quote, Blue Marble. You're not getting this.
I don't think he's getting that. We're pitting him against Blue Marble's statement.
Oh, he gets it all right. He knows exactly what's happening. That's why he lied, like the lying fuck he is, to defend one of his own. Because the own bit is Blue Marble thinking he's on your side as a globe believer, when in fact he's fucking things up from the inside, saying Earth doesn't turn underneath, exactly as been cited by Kosho here from ThoughtCo. specifically detailing Earth turning beneath. Completely contrasting Blue Marble, as I say, is fucking everything up for the globe side. But obviously that needs brushing under the carpet, as opposed to a full-on battle between Kosho with his 2 reference frames and Blue Marble, I quote, 1 reference frame, end quote, Blue Marble. That's very different positions you're holding there, Earth not turning underneath the blue, and a citation from ThoughtCo that says it does. None of which I hold, but I can moderate this debate that I think you should be having, Kosho.
It's like Star Wars, like when Luke squares off against his daddy, Darth Vader.
Yeah, you're like father and son, Kosho, but obviously given that you don't agree on this, 1 reference frame for blue, 2 for you, I can impartially moderate that. I don't give a shit about your stupid idiotic claims that Earth would turn beneath fucking aeroplanes, because that would shorten their flight times, Kosho, you stupid little boy. Obviously, if Earth was turning beneath things like is claimed in this ThoughtCo reference, then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA would only take an hour and a half. Obviously that doesn't happen, you stupid idiot. Nobody's observing anything drift 1,000 miles an hour away from them on the equator as we turn beneath a second reference frame. I mean, obviously that's why Blue's saying there's only 1, because we don't observe the effect you think we have, Kosho. But this isn't my claim. It's Blue's that we don't observe an effect whilst simultaneously still spinning with only 1 reference frame. But you say there's 2, Kosho, so when's this going to be happening? I'll moderate it because I'm unbiased in this situation. I don't need reference frames. We could get Simon Dan in the mix because he's on Blue's side, 1 reference frame.
You're moderated? Yeah, let's do it today then. Let's do it 2 hours from now.
Perfect. You'll get Blue Marble. Absolutely excellent. You'll get Blue Marble.
Just make sure that
You haven't answered me. First question off my lips. Will you get Blue Marble?
reference frames.
Will you get Blue Marble?
I told you there's just 1.
Sorry, I don't need to know your debating points that you're going to put to Blue Marble. Will you get Blue Marble?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Excellent. So we're going to arrange this. Be here or be sphere. We're going to say, as it's not past the hour that much, 7 p.m. UK time. It's 5:15 now by my watch. Oh no, yeah, 5:15. No,
That sounds
5:45.
good. I'll just check his schedule, but I'm sure he'll have no problem.
Cool. So, in the positive position that 2 reference frames, as detailed earlier by Kosho, inertial, where you can observe the item travelling straight from, and non-inertial, that would be from beneath as you turn beneath, versus Blue Marble, and I quote, Earth does not turn underneath, end quote. Excellent. I wonder who'll win this absolute shit show.
Will you be talking very much during this debate?
I mean, at the end, when you 2 fucktwits bash it out, I'll point out that if you win, Kosho, that Earth would be turning underneath aeroplanes, and if Blue Marble wins this absolute fucktard battle between you 2 globe-believing idiots, I'll point out that if Earth isn't turning beneath hot air balloons, then there's no Coriolis drift to observe. Because Earth's not turning underneath footballs, and bullets, and pendulums, and gyros. So if Blue wins, there's no effect to observe. If you win, flight times would be shortened. So I'll point that out at the end of you 2 idiots bashing it out about whether there's 2 or 1 reference frame. Because neither
What if
proves
they
spin.
agree with each other?
Oh, sorry, you got a white knight.
Go ahead, sir.
I said, what if they agree with each other?
They don't. One's got 1 reference frame and one's got 2. Earth does not turn underneath is completely incompatible with the highlighted ThoughtCo reference on screen that specifically says moves under the object. So either Earth moves under the object, as claimed by ThoughtCo and Kosho, or, and I quote, Earth does not turn underneath, end quote, Blue Marble. Those 2 things don't jive together. Do you understand that, Virus? Mutually exclusive.
Yeah, but what if they agree with each other?
They don't agree, you fucking retard. I've just explained that. Why ask me again? Didn't you listen, you
Well, I
stupid
think it's a
shit?
good question, to be honest with you, because I think, what if you're just wrong, Nathan, about me saying there's 2 reference frames, and I can't...
Ah, there it is. 2 reference frames. Kosho finally admitted it. I can finally fucking rind the show out. What, you admit there's 2 reference frames. Blue Marble is quoted by me saying there is only 1.
Relevant to Coriolis. That's right.
Yeah! He's talking about a Coriolis claim that I don't make, that he's debunking that the globe does. Is it finally sinking in?
Agree.
You shitheads with a globe belief claim Coriolis, Kosho, not me. He's disagreeing with that.
I don't think they understand the concept of mutually exclusive because Kosho just said, but what if they would agree? After
Yeah,
I just said the virus guy said that. I said, what if Nathan is consistently wrong about something?
Oh, I see. It's about me. It's about the moderator. It doesn't matter in this. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. I'm impartial, Kosho. I mean, I do and have demonstrated beyond all certitude that I definitely understand the Coriolis effect. So I'm going to be a fair moderator because I don't have a horse in either race. The races being 2 reference frames, Earth turns underneath, as claimed on screen by ThoughtCo and you. And I quote, Blue Marble, Earth does not turn underneath. Now, both of these positions have Earth turning. I don't hold that position at all. Therefore, I'm impartial here, Kosho. So please don't attack the moderator. Save it for Blue. Save your energy for Blue, who says Earth does not turn underneath, like the reference on screen from ThoughtCo you gave us, and then started lying about. Do you remember, Kosho?
Well, like I said, I'm not trying to attack you, Nathan. I'm just trying to make sure...
Good, you little shit. Save it for Blue, because you're going to be attacking him on his claim of 1 reference frame. Earth doesn't turn underneath, in contradiction of this mutually exclusive position on screen that Earth does turn underneath. I don't claim Earth turns. I don't give a shit. I'm just an impartial moderator in this stupid argument that if you win would shorten flight times, Charlotte to Los Angeles would be an hour and a half if Earth was turning underneath the plane, for your stupid ThoughtCo claim to come true. And for Blue, if he's saying nothing's turning underneath, as he absolutely is, then there's no effect to observe, and it's not turning under footballs, or bullets, or gyros, or pendulums. Again, none of this is my claim. That's NDT.
I don't think anybody here claimed anything about that. The only claims are...
NDT claimed that the game was won because of a deflection caused by Earth turning underneath the football. That's absolutely a globe claim. That is being claimed. It's just, again, Blue Marble says Earth does not turn underneath, end quote, footballs to cause deflection to win games. That doesn't happen according to Blue.
I think you have a terrible memory lapse, Nathan.
No, I don't. I'm not... lapse. Definitely not a memory lapse when I quote Blue Marble. Earth does not turn underneath. That is a verbatim quote. Not a memory lapse, you little shit. Yeah, you're going to add on my memory now, fucktard. No, you've got 2 reference frames and Blue's only got 1. And you 2 titans are going to thrash it out and definitely not be attacking the moderator who's impartial and has no belief in spin. Belief being the operative word, because I can debunk both positions. Your stupid position that aligns with ThoughtCo that Earth turns underneath shit. No, it doesn't. We'd fucking notice, Kosho. Yeah? Flight times would be shortened. We'd notice that shit. Or Blue Marble's stupid position that Earth doesn't turn underneath. Gyros, pendulums, balls, bullets. Yeah. Either position is debunkable by me on the flat Earth side, but there's a contradiction on the globe side that we want to see thrashed out by you and Blue, who have 1 and 2 reference frames respectively.
And when did I say that there were 2 reference frames involved?
About 10 minutes ago. I'll be trimming it out if you lie about it again.
I believe you said that.
I did it. Oh, it's my claim, is it? Yeah, keep trying to reposition this as my claim. Shit for brains. Yeah, that's not going to work. I don't claim spin. I don't need reference frames. Whatever gave you that idea? Sorry, you're going to answer me, shithead. You've just said about reference frames and my requirements for them. Whatever gave you that idea? I don't need reference frames. I'm impartial.
When you read that quote, it said that the...
Quote? What? 1 reference frame, end quote, Blue Marble? Yeah, I'll read out those quotes really accurately.
Hey, Kosho,
I mean, it's just funny because you're actually reading the quotes yourself, but you're still saying that it's involving 2 reference frames.
Yeah, do you want me to play them? Do you want me to play them? Would that be better? Would it be better if I have Blue Marble on a little loop? Just in case either one of you decide to change your position halfway through, I'll just have it lined up with you saying the 2 reference frames. Maybe trim out you detailing how you can see something moving straight in the second one Blue denies. We'll have all this shit lined up in case either of you decide to weasel around your own position. Your position being a reference frame you can observe something moving straight in, and a reference frame you can turn underneath it to see it seem to drift. That's 2, Kosho. Can you count? Blue Marble has specifically and explicitly stated only 1 Earth doesn't turn underneath.
Kosho, you said infinite. Blue Marble says 1. Is infinite and 1 the same to you?
Oh, so for the 15th time, the number of reference frames that you can involve any object in can be infinite.
Not according to Blue. He says there's only 1. So wrong. So you need to get these all in a row for Blue Marble to answer.
Frames.
You're a fucking moron.
It can be
Your
infinite.
reference frames. I already dispatched your dumbass, numpty, dipshit ass. You fucking incoherent, baltard retard. Define the Coriolis effect, fuckwit.
And for the 5th time, it's an object moving along the surface of a rotating object.
No,
as
it's
viewed
not.
from the rotating reference frame.
No, it's not. Not along the surface. No, it's not. Citation, please.
We already did this.
It doesn't have to be touching the surface.
Stop.
I'm saying
Stop.
in reference to the
Stop.
surface.
Stop.
So it's moving across the surface.
Stop. Sorry,
as viewed from the rotating
Kosho.
reference
Stop.
frame.
Pass stop, don't you understand? I realise you're retarded. Stop means shut up. We already covered this, Kosho. Not along, separate from. The one that it can travel straight through is not along the rotating platform. You've already detailed it. We've already taken the long, arduous task of getting you to admit to your own fucking claim. That's 2. The one that it travels straight through, yeah, that's not moving along the rotating platform. It's separate to it. It's inertial reference frame you're detailing with the projectile. Yeah, you circle-jerking lying fundy.
Why would that reference frame be relevant?
Don't ask me something. It's not my claim. You need to save this all up for Blue Marble.
Well, no, it's not. It's not relevant.
Yeah, don't stutter. Save it for Blue Marble.
What's relevant is the one that's occurring in the rotating.
Why are you telling me? I don't claim reference frames.
Because you still.
Yeah, shout it, bitch. Yeah, get angry for me, bitch. Yeah, you save it for Blue, bitch. I don't claim reference frames. Don't challenge my reference frames. I don't need them. You understand that, shithead? It's the 5th time I've told you. Don't challenge me on my reference frames. I don't have any or claim any. You need to save this up for Blue, who says there's only 1 and Earth doesn't turn underneath like your citation said. You understand? Good dog.
So when is this great Coriolis?
The reason why we were
debate
discussing the reference frames again was because QE.
Why are you discussing it with me? You're gonna be discussing it with Blue. Get that confirmation.
I just asked you a question.
No, I'm not. I'm not asking you anything. I don't have anything to discuss with you in this regard. I've already taken apart your claim. If you win, flight times would be shortened, Kosho. If you want to debate me, let's do it. Kosho, you say Earth turns underneath. It's on your citation. That would shorten flight times. You want to debate me, bitch? Let's go.
Is that whole page a citation?
The citation, I will repeat. This is number 2. Let's start counting off how quickly this fuckwit runs from me and my actual debate with him. Not my postulation that he should debate his inaccurate claim with Blue's inaccurate claim about the globe and its spin. I say your claim, cemented now in this discussion, is Earth turns underneath as per your citation that says exactly that. And I'm saying if Earth turned underneath as per your citation and claim of 2 reference frames, for us to observe things seem to drift as we turn beneath, then we'd be seeing planes drift as we turn beneath them, and that would shorten flight times.
I've said concisely what the definition of Coriolis effect is.
Sorry, that would shorten flight times, and it doesn't. You got a rebuttal, bitch? Or are you just going to go over and over what you think Coriolis is?
No, I mean...
Yeah, so shortened flight times would be the effect based on your citation. That's 3. What's the matter, Kosho? Now we're actually into a debate. You can't cope? Hello, you fundy little bitch! If your claim, as per your Thought Co citation, is correct, flight times would be shortened when travelling west.
You really still think that's...
Stutter for me, bitch. That's 4 times. You'd have shortened flight times when travelling west if Earth turned beneath, as claimed by Thought Co and you.
I didn't claim that, first of all.
It's on Thought Co. You're going to lie again, you fucking cunt? So now you're going to say it's not your claim even though it's been on screen from Thought Co? That's exactly what it says. Earth turns beneath. If Earth turns beneath, as per the citation, Kosho now needs to lie about again. Yeah, you lying
Sounds
little
like
fuck.
that's the whole page.
Don't talk through me, you little bitch. And don't fucking lie to me or my audience.
Source that you posted.
Says Earth turns beneath and that would shorten flight times. That's 5.
Yeah, so I didn't claim that.
It says it in your citation. The consequence, 6 times, would be shortened flight times.
I very disagree with you, Nathan.
Disagree?
It's
the consequence of your citation. If Earth turns beneath aeroplanes, the flight times would be reduced when travelling west. That's the 7th time. Have you not got a rebuttal? Nah, I know you haven't, bitch.
Do you know the difference between?
Yes, stutter for me. Do you need it an 8th time, bitch?
You definitely don't.
No, I
fucking
do. This
clown.
whole page is a source. Something
Yeah,
everything
no
I
shit.
cited would be a citation. I didn't cite anything.
Yes, you did. You
posted
gave
this.
it the chocolate.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Oh, so you did cite it, you lying fucking cunt. I am so sick with these bastards lying to us. I didn't cite it. I haven't cited it. It's not my citation. You gave it to Chocolate. Yeah, like 2 years ago. So you cited it, you lying piece of shit.
Yeah, where's the citation?
Motherfucker.
Yeah, where's the citation I just lied about? Kosho, I will arrange for you to be banned like Rumpus. You're never coming back. If I see you in here and I hear your voice, you will be permanently removed. You're a
Why
liar.
are you me right now, Nathan?
I'm hearing you because this is the last time you'll be here and we're going to make the most of it before I permanently never have you on my show again. Eli, for the love of fuck, can you put yourself on mute?
My bad.
Yeah, you won't ever be returning to this Shoko show. I don't tolerate lying scum. That's you.
Think about it, Kosho. Rumpus is already gone. You better get it right.
You think there's a reason I don't come in here? It's not.
I don't give a shit about whether or not you don't come in here. You're here lying to us.
You can go ahead and ban me right now.
I'm telling you that's precisely what's happening, Kosho. I'm explaining to you that you won't be returning. Do you not understand the words coming out my lips?
Yeah.
You're now going to demand that I do it immediately. I'll do it in my own good time.
Sure, take your time.
Yeah, I will, you stupid bitch. What you are is a lying shit, just like Rumpus. You all are. You've overtly lied here on 3 separate occasions.
Yeah, you're the only one lying.
Yeah, you're going to ad hom me, you lying piece of shit.
You are lying.
Don't talk about me, Kosho. I'm sick of it, right? You've told us I haven't cited that. That was your most recent lie.
You tell people that I'm claiming there's 2.
Don't tell me what I tell people. I'm reiterating that you've just lied. You are a liar, Kosho. How slow do I need to say this? Liar, you. Understand? Not tolerated here.
Well,
Hey,
I hope
Nathan,
that you
it has
refrain
to
from
be.
doing it in the future.
Hey, Nathan. I think this might be a case of Hanlon's razor. I understand that it looks like a lie, but you got to understand what Hanlon's razor, and I think you know what it means. Don't attribute to malice what can be explained by utter stupidity. I think it's a clear case of Hanlon's razor, man. I don't think he's lying.
I
He's
didn't
that
give a
fucking
citation.
stupid.
Right.
Hold on. Throughout the show, we've
I
pointed
agree,
out the
I
site.
agree
He's
with
going
you.
to talk through me, scum. So we pointed out that he gave us a citation. He specifically asked for me to read back his citation to him, and I did. Left it on screen for an audience while we discussed it. He then said, I didn't give you that citation. That's a lie.
Oh, gotcha.
Or just a
Page
a
has
moment
several
of confusion.
paragraphs.
Maybe he just
Right? So
lost
when you
track.
claim I have a citation in here that I post that I've shared with somebody and it has to do with airplanes, I'm going to want to tell you that's not true. I didn't post a citation about airplanes this claiming it was the Coriolis effect.
Nathan,
Okay.
is the hold on a second. Is the citation that he provided, is it, because I've been posting one from ThoughtCo in here for the past 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Is it the
that's
one that says the Coriolis effect is an apparent effect, an illusion produced by a rotating frame of reference This type of effect is also known as a fictitious or an inertial force. The Coriolis effect occurs when an object moving along a straight path is viewed from a non-fixed reference frame. Typically, the moving frame of reference is the Earth, which rotates at a fixed speed. When you view an object in the air that is following a straight path, the object will appear to lose its course because of the rotation of the Earth. The object is not actually off its course. It only appears to be doing so because the Earth is turning beneath it. Is that the one?
That's the one, yeah. The one he said he didn't give us. Yeah, the one
I
he lied about.
agree with everything that QE just said.
That's excellent. Given that Blue Marble says there's only one reference frame and specifically, quote, Earth does not turn underneath, that's your problem for the globe side, Kosho.
Yeah, except for that's what I told you.
Yeah, except I'm going to attack you, right? No, not accept anything. I'm not going to accept any of this shit, right? Blue Marble says one reference frame, you say two.
I don't say two.
Yeah, you do. It's in the citation you gave us. We just read it out, you lying piece of shit. And we also had you describe how things can be inertial in nature, moving straight, and non-inertial, turning beneath. Who's got their mic wide open again in G+?
Oh my God.
It's funny that y'all don't get what Cocho's saying.
White knight time. I don't understand. We need a white knight to tell us. I don't understand.
Yeah, the dumb fuck Ackham virus is a white knight. He couldn't white knight for Helen Keller. Sit down and shut the fuck up.
So, how's Blue coming along? Is this actually going to happen?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to him. I don't know where. I've been here the whole time, so.
Okay. Do you want to bugger off and get him?
I mean, I don't know where he's at.
Do you have contact info for him?
I guess I could call him.
I guess I could call him, so you've got his phone number.
Of course.
Okay. Excellent.
He came on the show and said Blue's like a father to him. He's got the phone number. He could have been texting him all this time. He says there's infinite reference frames. Blue says what?
Does
Blue say
infinite reference
infinite?
frames, but no deviation. That's what he thinks.
No, that's not what
I
Blue
didn't say
said.
no deviation. There's
Oh, so there is deviation.
reference frames are dependent on the
Go
observer.
back to texting.
Right?
Go back to
The one that's
texting.
relative.
We're waiting
the
for
one
you
that's
to tell us when
relevant
Blue
to
gets here.
Coriolis is the rotating reference
Kosho,
frame.
shithead. You are a liar, and I don't want you poisoning my audience unless it's you battling Blue, who says there's only one reference frame. So the next thing I want to hear from you is Blue's coming. Because obviously, I'm going to keep this show open till he gets here. That's my intention. Now, obviously, if you're not on the phone to him now, just fuck off now. Because I need you to confirm that you can get Blue here to argue against his single reference frame Earth doesn't turn underneath, completely in contradiction to the claim by ThoughtCo and you that Earth turns underneath to cause drift. So either you get on the phone, or I'll just kick you out now. Fine, never return. Obviously, this won't happen. You're both cowards. Because you could just be texting him. So, chop chop. Get him
Oh,
here.
sorry, hold on. He's on the phone now. Hold on.
How does he not understand that everything that's not in the non-inertial frame is automatically in the inertial?
Not according to Blue.
That's what I said, buddy.
Sorry, and he's confirmed. When's he getting here?
I'm sorry, I was talking to Blue. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
I think he's full of shit. He ain't on the phone with Blue.
Yeah, put him on loudspeaker, Kosho.
No. That's all right. Give him time.
No, I want to hear he's actually
I
on
don't.
the phone. He's
It's a
not
private
just...
phone call between a father and son.
What?
$10 says that's if he comes in here.
just cracked
He's
me
going to
up.
change his position. Blue, that is.
Yeah, best case scenario, Blue is definitely going to say you don't understand what he was actually saying.
Probably. That's what they'll agree upon. That Nate is wrong. He don't know what he's talking
Dude,
about. He don't
They'll
understand
both
us.
reverse positions and then agree with one another. Even though they would still be disagreeing, right?
Yes,
they can do
that's
anything.
all.
Ballers can do anything.
Yes, it's set up. The Kuma virus came in and said it. What if they agree? Dumbass.
We established the positive claim, which is that Earth does turn underneath. That's Kosho in the positive position. And challenging that is Blue Marble, who says Earth does not turn underneath. I mean, coincidentally, we also say we're not going to see any effects of Earth turning underneath, but we're not saying Earth spins simultaneously like Blue is. Blue says Earth spins, Kosho says Earth spins. Happy days. One says Earth turns underneath, one says Earth does not turn underneath. End quote, Blue Marble. Those are the positions. Kosho says positive claim it does. Blue Marble says it doesn't. It's just that simple.
It's like the keymaster and the gatekeeper. Bringing them together would be extremely dangerous.
It's already over. I mean, the guy says, what citation? Then he says, oh, the one I sent Chocolate 2 years ago. And then he says, you're not reading it right. And then QE reads it. He says, I agree with QE.
QE didn't say anything about an airplane.
Well, the more
Nathan claimed I had a citation. He brought up something about an airplane.
No, I implied the natural consequences in debate and then shouted at you and you stuttered like a bitch and gave prolonged silences as an answer. The implications of your claim cited in ThoughtCo, the Earth turns underneath, would have the consequences of... Why would you reposition that have consequences of, i.e. my argument, after your citation, is that if your citation's right and Earth turns underneath as per your citation, then flights would be reduced in their flight times, Kosho. I didn't say ThoughtCo said that. I said a consequence of the ThoughtCo and your claim of 2 reference frames Earth turning beneath would be Earth turning beneath fucking aeroplanes, Kosho. I realise you're very stupid and don't understand what I said.
Yeah, you claimed that was my citation.
So we're going to talk about how it's not your citation again, or we're going to talk about the natural consequences of your citation and Earth turning beneath aeroplanes and their shortened flight times that would happen. That's my argument that I've put to you, Kosho, you little bitch. I think you had it about 4 times already, didn't you, little bitch? Now, perhaps rather than addressing that it's not part of the citation, and actually an argument I'm putting to you that pisses in the face of your citation's claim that Earth turns beneath, maybe we could actually get somewhere here.
Nathan, sir, I think I have, because there's another citation also from ThoughtCo with planes. Now, Kosho, you said the previous citation was the one you posted. Now you're saying that's not correct. It's this one? So let me read this one.
I'm saying that he brought up something about airplanes. I'm saying this is not a citation. This is a source. And I'm saying I didn't.
This is a citation, you fuckwit.
It's a source.
This citation. You don't know the difference between citations and references, do you?
I do.
No, you don't. You just showed that you didn't. You're a fuckwit.
Citation
Nathan,
is a specific part of
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
So notice we're still not getting to my argument. Based on his citation, yeah, which it is.
Yep.
Earth would be turning underneath aeroplanes. That's what the citation says. Well, that would shorten flight times.
Yeah. Yes, here is another citation from ThoughtCo. From the same reference. You fuckwit, Kosho. The Coriolis effect, also called Coriolis force, is defined as the apparent deflection of objects such as airplanes. Is that the one?
Well, I've never cited that one. So
Jesus.
It's in the same reference.
Yeah, maybe it's the same reference. It might even be the same source. I didn't cite any of this.
Reference, source. He's fucking clueless. The Earth can be seen rotating slowly below it. From the Earth's surface, the same object appears to curve off its course. The object is not actually moving off its course, but this just appears to be happening because the Earth's surface is rotating beneath the object.
Ah, cool. So we've got the citation, Sus. The citation that you gave us has also got the same thing backed and described with aeroplanes, Kosho? Do you disagree with the citation?
I don't think that's a citation at all. A citation would be a quotation.
It's on screen.
I didn't cite any
He
of that.
doesn't. Citation is this fucking idiot, man. I told you. He says this isn't a citation.
Sorry, we're not asking that. Sorry. Okay. Do you disagree with what it says? Yes or no?
No, I disagree with your interpretation of it, but not what
I haven't interpreted it. He's
with
just
what
read it.
says.
He didn't interpret it. He didn't give any interpretation. He just read it out. Said, you'll observe deflection in aeroplanes because Earth's turning beneath them. That's paraphrasing, but that's the sentiment it says in that citation. Do you disagree with that?
Well, it's exactly what I said, just in different words.
So that's an agree then. You agree then. So you agree then. You agree then, you weaselly little shit. So you agree then, you weaselly little shit. So you're going to talk straight through my trying to get an affirmation in the
I'm
positive.
trying to answer your question.
So you agree? You weaselly little shit. Long silence. So
I was answering your question. You were talking over my answer. Right.
So you agree with its sentiment that we'll observe.
As I said, I agree with it because it agrees with what I said.
Okay. Well, if you agree that we will observe deflection in an aeroplane as we turn beneath it, that would shorten flight times, Kosho, and that doesn't happen. So that can't be correct.
Again, Nathan.
Why are you talking through me?
Because I wasn't finished talking.
Well, it seems like you actually were, you lying piece of shit, because you haven't got a fucking word to say. So, if you agree with it, it's wrong, because it would shorten flight times, so it's wrong, Kosho.
And as I said, I disagree with your interpretation. Because
Sorry, the interpretation is
interpreting it to say
sorry,
that.
no, it's not an interpretation, it's what it says. That Earth turns
Does
under
not say
planes.
that, Nathan.
Sorry, do you want to read out the bit where it says Earth turns under planes again, just because he doesn't
No,
seem
I want you to read the part where it says it's going to shorten
Little
flight
boy,
times.
little boy, little boy. You can have it read out to you again by Quantum Eraser.
The Coriolis effect, also called the Coriolis force, is defined as the apparent deflection of objects such as airplane, wind, missiles, and ocean currents, moving in a straight path relative to the Earth's surface. The apparent portion of the Coriolis effect's definition is also important to take into consideration. This means that from the object in the air, the Earth can be seen rotating slowly below it. From the Earth's surface, the same object appears to curve off its course. The object is not actually moving off its course, but this just appears to be happening because the Earth's surface is rotating beneath the object. End of citation.
Right, you agree with that, right?
I said I agree with that.
Well, that would shorten flight times, because if Earth's turning beneath aeroplanes, then the continent it's travelling to is coming towards it, and that would shorten flight times. That doesn't happen, so it's wrong. Earth isn't turning underneath. This Coriolis effect isn't observed, because if it was, the consequences would be shortened flight times. So, nevertheless, what we've been discussing for the last few minutes is the effect claimed with two reference frames. That's Earth turning underneath hot air balloons, and the Earth slowly rotating underneath hot air balloons, or aeroplanes, or anything else that's not attached to a claim to be rotating Earth, so that you can see things seem to drift as you turn beneath them. That's two reference frames. Meanwhile, Blue Marble Science has only got one reference frame now, hasn't he? One reference frame, end quote.
I mean, it's like you don't want an answer.
Wait a second. You said you don't agree with the interpretation. Hold on. It has nothing to do with interpretation. That would be the freaking result, you moron. The continent.
No, that's what I'm trying to state. That's what I'm trying to state. I don't get a chance to, but the plane is appearing to have a curved path, not because the Earth is rotating and it's staying still, but because the speed at which it was at before it started moving and the speed that it's traveling across are two different speeds. So when they say the Earth is appearing to be rotating, they're talking about the slight speed change of the rotation of the Earth.
Underneath.
It's not going to be staying still.
Okay, so you're
that's
saying...
not what the citation says.
Okay, it's not what the citation says, but what Kosho's now saying is there's slightly different speeds as the Earth rotates underneath, right, Kosho? It's just different
That's
different
right, and
speeds.
as it travels across different spots of the Earth.
Right, so, okay, Kosho, thank you. So, according to Kosho, there is a different speed as the Earth rotates underneath aeroplanes. Yeah, Blue Marble says there's only one reference frame. and I quote, Earth does not rotate underneath aeroplanes at a different speed, Kosho. Do you understand how Blue Marble's saying something completely contrasting your view that Earth turns underneath at a different speed when Blue Marble specifically says, and I quote, Earth does not rotate underneath, end quote, at different speeds, Kosho? Do you understand how fucked you both are?
I understand that you're end quoting and then adding your own
Yeah,
words.
yeah. My quote of Blue Marble's pissing in the face of your different speeds.
It's not. You said end quote and then you added in the different speeds.
Yeah, because Earth not turning underneath won't give you different speeds, will it? If it's not rotating underneath, it's not rotating underneath at a different speed, Kosho.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
said it, Kosho.
Because it's true, QE. I'm saying he's quoting Blue Marble and saying
You're
we
a
disagree
fucking
when he's adding
retard.
in his words.
You need to be institutionalized.
Yeah, I'm adding in your words. You said Earth turned underneath at a different speed. And Blue Marble says Earth does not turn underneath. End quote.
$1,000, Blue would agree with me.
He doesn't. I'll quote him. You say Earth turns underneath at different speeds. Blue Marble says Earth does not turn underneath. End quote.
You're finished, Kosho. Of course, you were finished like the moment you stepped out here because you're retarded. Everyone knows it. You got your own special wing on the numpty clips. You're a fucking moron. But you're done with Blue. You know what? Well, you know what's scarier? He's dumber than you are. That's what's scarier. Have a good one. Clown.
The apple don't fall far from the tree. That's his daddy.
He's a good man. But what's
How's
scary is
that
that you
texting
guys
going
agree
on?
with each other.
So we haven't got any reference frames to agree on. What are you talking about? We don't agree with each other. We don't have any reference frames to claim.
You guys have been saying this for 3 years.
Sorry, we don't have any reference frames. You've just completely ignored my point.
What what happened with the correspondence with Blue Marble, though? I am curious.
He's not. Maybe he's not on Discord right now. I'm not sure.
Sorry, when you said you were on the phone to him, you were just fucking lying. So let me get it straight. You just said
Yeah, I
you
was
were on
on
the
a
phone
call
to
with
him.
him. That's right. He didn't pick up though.
You were on the phone to him, but he didn't pick up. So when you were on the phone to him, you weren't on the phone to him. You were on an empty line, not talking to anybody then.
Yeah, I mean the call went through.
I knew it.
I did leave him a message. I
He's
told
a
him what the
freaking liar. Kick
topic
him
of
out
the-
No,
now.
he's a total liar. That's what people do. And it's not a single person who's watching the show that doesn't recognise the lie that he's just told.
What lie did I tell Nathan?
That you were on the line with him, on the phone with him. That's what you said. I'm on the phone with him. Then there was protracted silences. Then you talked to us. Then you said you were on the phone with him again. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know how long it takes to go to answering machine if I phone somebody, but for you, it was a protracted silence followed by a conversation, followed by a protracted silence number 2, that apparently is you on the phone to him, but he's not on Discord. You're just a liar,
called him
Kosho.
over Discord.
Kosho, don't talk through me. Don't do that.
Discord phone
Don't do that, Kosho. No, you're just scum. Yeah, lying scum.
And that's the thing about what's that thing? Was it Hitchens razor that you said? Like, because my friends, they're that dumb. Okay, it's a lot of work trying to get them to simply look at what I've seen, because that's all we're talking about here is looking at the things that people haven't seen. All of these weird anomalies in the information that really just means, well, the information was never validated to be real in the first place. But with Kosho, as he's argued all these years, I can hear when he tactfully steps off of the main point to move to a secondary point. I can hear it now, whereas before I didn't have the experience. So there's like levels. There's like the level where my friends are, where they really are that dumb. And then there's people like him who might have at some point realized, oh, snap, they have something and he just chose to be a liar.
With that, I'm going to say another massive, huge, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hit the PayPal link, join as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.